All good fellows and jolly good company.
They know that the Arsenal Football Club's a great club. People know that, all over the country, incidentally, all over the world, incidentally.
It's maintained that tradition. It's never lost its class. It's never lost its style. It's managed to change with the times.
Everybody will fight for each other. They'll support each other. They'll work for each other.
This is my life, watching Arsenal play football, especially when we win things.
The supporters will refer to them as the Arsenal, capital T, capital A.
Once an Arsenal man, always an Arsenal man.
It's just the feeling that you are still wearing this big gun on your chest.
Because it's family, Arsenal's family.
Everything they do with a little bit of style, a little bit of panache. It's just a real nice football club.
I think they're a wonderful club, and there's no reason why they still can't be at the top for the next couple of decades at least.
But when it comes to class, I think that we're the #1 club in Britain.
Big club, big support, big tradition and big history.
Emirates Stadium, the hugely impressive 60,000 capacity home of Arsenal Football Club, one of the oldest and proudest names in the world game. The 21st century Gunners are a vibrant, cosmopolitan young team playing an exhilarating brand of football. It's all a far cry from their formation back in the 19th century. In October 1886, 15 workers from the Royal Armaments factory in Woolwich formed a football team. They called themselves Dial Square after their place of work, and 2 months later played their first ever match against Eastern Wanderers at Millwall, winning 6-0. Shortly afterwards they became Royal Arsenal, and on January the 8th, 1887 played their first game on Plumstead Common against Erith. This was the side. The key figures were founding father David Danskin and goalkeeper Fred Beardsley, who provided the first kits courtesy of his former club Nottingham Forest. From then on, Arsenal played in red. In 1890, the club won its first honours, doing the treble of the Kent Senior Cup, the Junior Cup and the London Charity Cup. Jack Humble was the driving force behind the first moves to go professional. League status was next. Prior to Arsenal joining in 1893, the most southerly clubs had been Birmingham and Burton. By now they were known as Woolwich Arsenal, but life in the league was a struggle. With no local rivals, travel costs strained the club of its resources. The distance from opposition clubs also affected gates at their manor ground home in Plumstead, to where these season tickets would have gained you admission. In their early years, the team laboured in the second division under the guidance of T.B. Mitchell and then of George Elcote. The next man in charge, Harry Bradshaw, did succeed though, and in 1904 the club moved up to Division 1. Sadly, Bradshaw didn't stay for the promotion party, and with the exception of 2 FA Cup semi-finals, subsequent manager Phil Kelso's time at the club was largely uneventful. George Morrell took charge from 1908 onwards, but the level of football stayed much the same. This action from the opening day of the 1911-1912 season features Arsenal at the Manor Ground. Jack Flanagan and Jackie Chalmers were the scorers in the game, but sadly the newsreel cameras only captured the frantic running about and not the actual goals. It's still, though, a pretty accurate depiction of early 20th century football. In 1913, the club was on the brink of extinction. Relegation was the final straw for chairman Henry Norris, who took the decision to leave Woolwich for good. The club's new home would be in North London, at Highbury. League football was suspended during the First World War. Arsenal, having finished 5th in the season before hostilities, were expected to resume in Division 2, but negotiations led by Norris resulted in the Gunners taking their place in the newly extended Division 1. Leslie Knighton was the man in charge for the new era, although he had to work to the specific instructions of Norris, who allegedly prevented him from signing anyone shorter than 5'8". The first game of the 1919-20 season saw Arsenal take on Newcastle at Highbury. 40,000 packed into the ground on the day, but most went home disappointed, with the visitors winning 1-0. It set the tone for the following 6 seasons, as Arsenal failed to match ambition with achievement. For the upwardly mobile Sir Henry Norris, it was hugely frustrating. The 1924-25 season was the nadir for manager Knighton. Arsenal needed a change. They decided to go for the best man around, and surprisingly, they got him. Inside the marble halls of Highbury stood a permanent tribute to perhaps the most influential figure in the club's history. Herbert Chapman arrived from champions Huddersfield and transformed his new team into the major force in the English game.
I think he was tremendously important. We were unknown when he came here, really, and he somehow set the thing in motion that people who followed him managed to continue. And I would think he's really the most important person that Arsenal Football Club has really ever had.
Chapman's first signing was the legendary Charlie Buchan, an inspirational captain. Then there was Joe Hume from Blackburn and future skipper Tom Parker from Southampton. This team took Arsenal to their first cup final in 1927 against Cardiff at Wembley.
King George V was introduced to the Arsenal team by Charlie Buchan, their captains. Cardiff's captain Fred Keynor tossed up and Buchan won his call. Thus began a match that was to make history. In the Arsenal team were names that will stand forever in the Golden Book of Soccer. Men like Joe Hume, Jimmy Brain, Tom Parker, Billy Brythe and Bob John. In the second half, Ferguson shot at Arsenal's goal, and he'd scored. Goalie Dan Lewis had let it slip through his fingers. Lloyd George and his daughter Megan acclaimed Cardiff. The slow-motion camera records those fateful seconds. Watch how Lewis gets a firm hold of the ball and then by a touch of the elbow puts it into his own net. Did it slip on his jersey? Was he too eager to collect? It's a goal that's been argued about ever since. Anyway, one thing's certain, it won Cardiff the cup.
As the 20s drew to a close, Chapman continued to build his team. Players such as Eddie Hapgood, David Jack, Alex James and the prolific Cliff Bastin became Highbury legends. With their revolutionary WM formation, Arsenal were now ready to take on the football world. The game would never be the same again.
These are the Arsenal players from whom the final selection of the team will be made to appear at Wembley on April the 26th.
This happy band of brothers was on the verge of making history, and that elusive first trophy wasn't far away. Ironically, the 1930 FA Cup final was against Huddersfield, Chapman's old club. In tribute to the manager, both teams ran out side by side, the first time this had happened at Wembley. The game went to plan for Chapman and his assistant Tom Whittaker, Alex James giving Arsenal a first-half lead. However, causing a bigger distraction was a German Graf Zeppelin that flew spectacularly overhead. In the 83rd minute, Jack Lambert sealed victory with this goal, and captain Tom Parker lifted the cup to mark the start of a decade of Arsenal domination in English football.
I need hardly say how pleased I am we've won the cup this afternoon. I'm very proud of the fact that the Arsenal's been successful in bringing the cup south once again.
La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, all good pals and jolly good company.
The first championship followed 12 months later, with Arsenal scoring an incredible 127 goals en route to the title. The Gunners were a potent force, and everyone in the country wanted to see them at first hand.
Many of those on the hillside have already paid admission to the ground. However, they think the view is better even a quarter of a mile away. Well, they know.
In front of 67,000 people, this sixth-round FA Cup tie was finally settled by a header from giant centre-half Herbie Roberts. Arsenal were on their way back to Wembley, where they would meet Newcastle United. In a keenly fought north-south battle, it was Welsh half-back Bob John who gave Arsenal the lead, much to Herbert Chapman's delight. He was never one for outlandish celebrations. But the equaliser from Boyd was given in the most controversial of circumstances. From this high angle, it appeared winger Richardson had run the ball out of play before crossing, a fact confirmed by this artist's impression. Newcastle went on to score again and win the game 2-1, but defeat didn't keep Arsenal down for long, and a season later they won the league for the second time in 3 years. One important development was the new kit, their now famous white-sleeved shirts introduced by Chapman in March 1933. This time the Gunners hit 118 goals on the way to the Championship, and in 1934 the title again went to Highbury, but the success was overshadowed by the loss of their inspirational manager. On the 6th of January 1934, Chapman tragically died from pneumonia. All of football mourned his passing, with the streets of North London lined with grieving fans. His legacy is more than titles and triumphs. He set standards that continue today at the club. In his time, he revolutionised tactics, training, the kit, and even ensured the name of the local underground station was changed from Gillespie Road to Arsenal.
I think he was very much a revolutionary. I think he was way ahead of his time. I never knew him, but my father always said that he ought to have been Prime Minister. I mean, he was of such a calibre, really an outstanding man.
Loyal servant George Allison stepped into the breach, and the club continued to go from strength to strength. Chapman may have died, but his football philosophy lived on at Highbury.
I'm here today with the Arsenal football team, and in a moment you'll see just what a fine lot of fellows they are. We're all looking forward most eagerly and in the keenest anticipation to the forthcoming season. As league champions, we have the highest standard of football to maintain, and I sincerely hope and trust and believe we will maintain it.
Prolific striker Ted Drake's signing from Southampton in 1934 ensured Arsenal's success was perpetuated.
It was George Allison, and his very first signing, so maybe I might have been dear old Herbert's last, but I wasn't, but I was George's first. And he had a hard job, you know, taking over, because Herbert Chapman had set such a great example and whatnot. But George Allison and his players and his team and his trainers and his squad lived up to it, yes. If you look at his record, he did very well.
George Allison guided Arsenal to back-to-back titles, making it 3 in a row for the club.
Their record in recent years and the many star players they've captured have made the Arsenal, here playing in white shirts, the most talked-of team of this generation. Wherever they play, record crowds are there to see them. The Arsenal don't believe in stunts. For them, it's steady groundwork, tuning muscles up to the highest pitch. Here on the left of the trainer is Hume, famous outside right. And there's Alec James, right in the middle, one of the greatest soccer players in the world, in the middle of the picture again. Outside left, Bastin gives further proof of his versatility. The Arsenal paid £2,000 for his transfer from Exeter City, but he certainly justified it. The Arsenal team have reached an extraordinarily high standard. So long as they keep it up, they'll always be taking the ball into the opponent's half and putting it into the net, just like this.
Soccer again, and the league teams come out to thrill their thousands of supporters, nearly 1 million of them all over the country, and about 70,000 at Highbury to see the Arsenal, last year's champions, play last year's runners-up, Sunderland, in striped shirts. The Arsenal play like the champions they are, and give the Sunderland defence a most uncomfortable time. 2 of their 3 goals are scored in the first half, Drake netting the equaliser. Now the Arsenal have it all their own way and keep up a continuous pressure. Bastin puts them ahead, and most of the crowd realises that soccer has really begun. Drake Drake kicks off for Arsenal in the league match against Villa wearing white shorts. Villa have brought in so much new talent that they are known as the Bank of England team, but they have yet to prove their sterling worth. Arsenal goes quickly ahead thanks to their centre-forward Drake, who has apparently decided to win the match on his own. Continuing his display of brilliant opportunism, he plays ducks and drakes with the Villa defence. Villa's expensive experts are unavailing, and Drake scores at regular intervals, getting 2 more in the first half. To Villa's 1, he gets 7, equaling the league record of 47 years standing.
In 1936, Arsenal missed out on the league, but still found success in the FA Cup. The semi-final against Grimsby was settled by Cliff Bastin's goal. The Gunners were back at Wembley yet again. The final itself was against another Yorkshire side, Sheffield United, but due to a dispute, no newsreel cameras were allowed inside the ground. Those not fortunate enough to be there had to be content with this very shaky aerial view of the match. Not the best angle from which to see Ted Drake score the only goal. The cup was paraded around North London aboard an open-top bus the next day. There was good reason to cheer, and in 1938 it was followed by another League Championship success, Arsenal's magnificent 7th trophy of the 1930s. There was no doubting the club's big box office status.
Programme, official programme and change. Thank you. Programme, here you are. Trojan or Arsenal? Trojan. Wear your colours.
What the hell do you think I'm wearing? At the Arsenal.
Up the Trojans.
Arsenal.
Above all, boys, you must respect this amateur side. They're one of the finest amateur teams we've seen for years. They don't play your game, they play the attacking game.
Ball goes up to Kirshen. He's racing on. He shoots, and a grand save. Corner against Trojans.
Oi, Rat! Oi! Don't keep blowing that whistle. Blow your nose down it.
Nearing the end of the first half now, and there's no score yet. Drake's onto it, over to Kirshen. This time it's a goal. First blood to the Arsenal, 1-0, and about 30 seconds to go for half-time.
Even in the movies, it finished 1-0 to the Arsenal. Sadly, though, the team's success was curtailed by the outbreak of the Second World War. Normal football was suspended as the country's young men were called up for military service. Arsenal's star players were no exception. However, there were still occasional matches, and in 1943, Arsenal reached the wartime cup final against Charlton Athletic.
When the teams came out, I bet there were darn few among the crowd of 75,000 who could have guessed a score of 7-1 for the Gunners. It was hard luck for Charlton that their first appearance at Wembley should have been the occasion for a record total of goals against them. There was a 6th goal and then a 7th, and this is Lewis scoring it. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester were present, and the Duchess presented the cup to George Mayle.
After the war, the nation's appetite for football was voracious. A 7-year stretch without competitive league and cup games had the fans flocking back to every ground in the country, and Highbury was no exception. But sadly, the war years had taken their toll on the Golden Gunners who dominated the 30s. Only a handful of the greats remained, and their talents had been diminished by the passage of time. George Allison remained in charge for the 1946-47 season, but the reins were then passed to another great servant of the club, Tom Whittaker, who'd been so instrumental in the triumphs of the 30s with both Allison and Chapman. He would now devise his own formula for success.
Arsenal have paid over £30,000 for players since the war. This sounds an expensive policy, but I'm certain it has paid. We haven't lost a match in our first 10 matches this season, and as long as we can keep on doing that, our turnstiles are going to click very regularly every match this season.
Tom Whittaker was something of an awesome man. He was a big, powerful man, very much because I was the junior and he was the boss. You never really got close to Tom Whittaker, but he was very impressive, very well respected. He really was a decent man, a good man.
I'd like to introduce the team to you now. Wally Barnes, Ian McPherson, George Swindon, Laurie Scott, Jimmy Logie, Archie McCauley, Raymond Daniels, Lionel Smith, Leslie Compton, Dennis Compton, Ted Platt, Freddie Cox, Reg Lewis, Don Roper, Dougie Lishman, Peter Goring, and our trainer, Billy Milne.
Leading the line was striker Ronnie Rook, scorer of 69 goals in 93 games.
It was special at the time because it had an enormous unity. They played as a team and they played for each other. There were a lot of characters then. Joe Mercer was certainly a great player. Leslie Compton and Dennis Compton, knew them very well. To me, they were all stars. I've never ever wanted to pick out stars of teams because I always think of them as individual people, and there's some great chaps there.
In Whittaker's first season in charge, Arsenal took the First Division Championship in some style, winning by a margin of 7 points. Not so much a race as a procession.
There were certainly a lot of people from Yorkshire as well as London who were dead keen on seeing Arsenal meet Leeds United at Highbury. When only 8 clubs are left in the Cup, Wembley is really on the horizon. As you see, Arsenal and Leeds supporters had their own ways of lending support. But there was still no score when Leeds kicked off in the second half, and the battle was still being fought out with determination by both teams. Then within 10 minutes of resuming play, the ball came in from the left, and Lewis scored for Arsenal.
As Arsenal helped themselves to another Wembley appearance, captain Joe Mercer returned to his grocery store on Merseyside. In the days of the maximum wage, he needed another income, so commuted to London whilst keeping fit with Liverpool, ironically Arsenal's 1950 FA Cup final opponents.
Also in Liverpool, where he lives, is the Arsenal captain, Mercer. He too has been keeping in first-class trim, of course. The others from whom Arsenal's Cup team will be made up are at Brighton. Golf, I need hardly mention, is only a sideline. They certainly mean to run as far and as fast as Liverpool at Wembley. The Gunners, indeed, are just as determined to win the Cup as their rivals in the north. Obviously, fitness and strong nerves, in addition to class football and real teamwork, will play a big part in victory for either side.
Here we are, on the way to Wembley on the day, and what a day. The prospect was indeed a wet one. Really very bad luck on the tens of thousands crowding in to enjoy the tremendous thrills of a cup final. Yes, sir, it's thirsty work, this watching. In fact, not much more than a quarter of an hour had passed when Arsenal forced a corner which Dennis Compton took. There's always a good chance from a corner, and soon a pass from Logie gave Lewis the very opportunity he wanted. Arsenal were 1 up. Well, that was the only score in the first half, and royal spectators, no less than the rest of the Wembley fans, waited to see if Liverpool could make a comeback in the second period. And within about 15 minutes, a centre from Cox was banged home by Lewis. Arsenal 2 up. Proper terrible, isn't it? Well, fancy that. Would you believe it? Anyway, Arsenal kept Liverpool out and won 2-0. A great moment for their skipper as he went to receive the cup from the King. He gets the trophy, then for his medal. But there's some mistake. The King spots it and puts it right. Mercer was nearly given the wrong one. Typical scenes followed. Arsenal had last won the cup in 1936. Now they had it again. And if you wonder how it feels to be the captain of a cup-winning team, well...
This is the greatest moment of my life, to be holding the cup here at Wembley. And while we're very, very pleased to have won it, I would like to say how wonderful Liverpool boys have been in their defeat.
2 years later, and Arsenal were back at Wembley again. Newcastle were the opponents, and as had happened 20 years earlier, they had a huge slice of luck. In the days before substitutes, this injury to fullback Wally Barnes reduced Arsenal to 10 men for nearly an hour. They held out until 6 minutes from time, when Chilean George Robledo headed in off the post. For the supporters, it was sheer agony. Not for the first time, the Magpies had stolen the cup from Arsenal. The compensation was swift in coming, though. The championship was decided by goal average, and the margin of victory was a mere 1/10 of a goal. To paraphrase a popular politician of the era, never had so little meant so much to so many. Tragically, though, 3 years later, manager Tom Whittaker passed away.
I remember very clearly the day he died. Everyone, he was very, very sad. Well, he was involved in everything, you see, and things were different then. Tom was the last of the secretary managers, so he was the ultimate boss. And after he died, Jack Crayston took over as manager.
After Tom Whittaker, the club turned to his assistant and former player Jack Crayston. But he never settled into the job, and after a disappointing 12th position in 1958, he was replaced by George Swindon. One of the legends of the late 30s and early 50s, former goalkeeper Swindon made a bright start, finishing third in his first season, but it wasn't sustained.
I've always been one of these people. I never thought a goalkeeper would make a good football manager, and George proved that. Ron Greenwood, his assistant, was excellent coach, excellent man management. He was his assistant, and he was really the brains behind the outfit.
Arsenal have always been ahead of their times, and in 1960, Doherty and his teammates turned to science to help them try and recapture former glories.
Don't go all the way, Billy. Dennis Clapton's loose to the left of you.
Joe Wood's ball, David. Look up back. That's better. Come on, John. You can come in square there. Johnny now. Hold and look. Hold and look.
I don't want to be unkind, but it was not the best period in the club's history. As I said, we went for a long time without success.
Over 47,000 turned up at Highbury, eager to bask in the hot sunshine and the joys of a new soccer season. For them, this was the big kick-off, and they were soon cheering away while the Gunners fought newly promoted Sheffield Wednesday. Mel Charles, number 5, making his first appearance in Arsenal's league team, was a big and expensive attraction. But it wasn't his or Arsenal's day. Perhaps it was too hot. It was in the upper 70s. Anyway, Wednesday won by the only goal in the match.
We signed 2 or 3 good players, Scottish international. We signed, I think it was Jackie Henderson from Portsmouth. David Herd was there, of course. Jimmy Bloomfield was a tremendous player inside forward as well. And then Mel Charles, the younger brother of John Charles. But it was a strange setup at that particular time because there was a lot of turmoil in the club on the playing side. Players started to leave, become unsettled and whatnot. And we never really took off as a team.
And as the sun comes out, Groves takes that throw for Arsenal to Bloomfield. Bloomfield, this delightful ball player, lovely body swerve. And Herd, and a goal! Corner to Arsenal being taken by their young centre-forward, Strong, playing in his first league game. Comes that now to Vic Groves. Groves to Strong, he's got a shooting chance, he scores! It's there, he's got it! Wills with the throw again for Arsenal, getting it back from Doherty. Noticeable that Charles at centre forward for Arsenal, moving around a lot to try and get Fawkes away from the middle. Now Groves backing up. Groves changing his mind, it seemed then. Getting it to Charles. Cross to Barnwell, a goal! It's Violet. Violet to young Charles, beaten brilliantly by Doherty, up to Barnwell. And Arsenal certainly playing some lovely football. Now it's up to Herd. And Herd tries one. It's a goal! Manchester's throw into Charlton, momentarily unmarked. Can he hit it fast enough? A great save by
Kelsey. One of Swindon's major signings was George Eastham from Newcastle. He had every faith that Arsenal could turn the corner.
You could never say Arsenal's in decline. While there's still an Arsenal, there'll always be a chance of winning something. They're a top-class club and always will be.
The Eastham transfer became a test case for players' rights. At issue, freedom of contract and the chance to negotiate their own salaries. As a result, the maximum wage was abolished and the face of the game changed forever.
It happened for everybody's benefit at the time. Players were allowed to earn a little more money than they had been doing or subjected to.
Are you now proud of what you achieved for football?
I think at the time I was then. I don't know what's happened now. It just seems to have gone beyond comprehension. It's all too much to take in now. £100,000 a week. It's a lot of money. We used to get that in a career.
Arsenal's importation from Italy, centre-forward Joe Baker, is one reason why the Gunners may resume their former greatness. Another is manager Billy Wright, winner of 105 England caps and one of the best football brains of the time. Here he's watching Baker and his teammates preparing to put Arsenal on top of the soccer world. It's early days yet. Whether they'll succeed remains to be seen.
Billy Wright was a lovely guy. I used to come with friends or family and he would be 30, 40 yards away in Highbury, and he would go out of his way to come and say, hello everybody, my name's Billy Wright. Everybody knew it was Billy Wright, but it was a lovely way he did it. He never assumed that. He was never cut out to be a football manager. I really don't think he was cut out to be a manager.
I think some players you've got to get stuck into and be strong with them. I don't think he was. I think there would have been better players if he had been tough with them.
He was a super player, absolutely first-class person, lovely man, but he just really wasn't cut out for being a manager of a football club.
England international Joe Baker's arrival from Torino embellished Billy Wright's already attack-minded side. The likes of Jeff Strong, George Eastham and George Armstrong conceded plenty and relied on scoring more. They may not have been successful, but there was hardly ever a dull moment.
That's a beautiful ball to Armstrong. There's Baker, and it's a goal! Baker has equalised! Oh, what a beautiful goal! Glorious goal by Baker.
In those days, clubs scored a lot of goals. There was no shortage of goals, let's put it that way. We maybe scored 70, 80, 100. You beat a man, you had a chance to score a goal.
Baker, deep ball to Strong. Out of Anderson. Strong again. Easton, a good return, a fine move and a lovely goal by Strong. A lovely goal. Armstrong, Easton placed to him. Armstrong and the goal, an equaliser by Baker. Up comes Story, the left back. Scott moving in, and he scored! Baker to Samuels, and Arsenal is sprightly as ever in his Armstrong is going to be number 5, yes!
They could score goals so easily, but the trouble was they'd score 3 and they'd let in 4. They'd score 2, they'd let in 3. And it always needs to be the other way round.
It was absolutely unbelievable. Joe and I used to be really crushing them in, and they were flying back the other way. We used to beat, the real top teams. We used to beat loads of them and get beat off lower teams. It was incredible.
4-3, 5-4, 4 each. We had a lot of titanic struggles in those days.
It was down to all of us, myself included. We didn't apply ourselves enough. And looking back, we should probably have taken a lot more responsibility.
Arsenal's finishes under Wright became progressively poorer. However, his contribution shouldn't be dismissed. He built a team that contained several players who were to have a huge influence on the club in the next few years. This lineup from 1965 proved that Billy had laid the foundations for the rebirth of Arsenal.
Some very good players came through, and I think that was the basis of the double team, which was, I suppose, a bit unlucky for Billy.
Although his record was poor as regards winning things, he didn't win anything, the fact is that he laid the basis for a side that developed in the late 60s and the early 70s that over a period of 6 seasons came first or second, and virtually every member of that squad was brought to this club by Billy Wright. Well, we all received letters in the close season saying that Billy Wright and Les Shannon, their appointments had been relinquished. We weren't surprised that Billy had gone, and we were surprised that they made an initial appointment of Bertie Mee.
Typical of the Arsenal, there was names from all over the world who were going to come and take that job, and all of a sudden Bertie got the job, and of course we all went, oh, whoa, this is unusual.
Oh, we couldn't believe it. I mean, Bertie was a little, what's the word for it, sort of a pompous little man, you know, and called you, OK McClintock and that sort of stuff. It was a bit like that, like Dad's Army type of thing. Even as a physio, he ruled that dressing room and that treatment room like a staff sergeant in the army. You know, I mean, he would bring you in at 9 o'clock in the morning for treatment. If you had a sore foot, you would exercise every single muscle in your body about 500 times before lunchtime. Then he would give you an hour off, and then he would bring you back again and do the same, and then he would let you go straight into the heavy traffic at 5 o'clock at night, so that in the future you didn't really want to get injured again.
He was here as the physio, and it was felt that maybe this was the man that perhaps could get a grip of the team and get a grip of the playing staff entirely and lead us on, and he did, of course.
I think the players, they responded to him as well. They responded to his discipline. They responded to him wanting things to be done properly.
We realised we couldn't step out of line, whether it be almost anything, certainly dress code. You know, he would have us in our ties and our jackets, and the gold gun was on there, and my goodness, you felt everywhere you went, you felt proud to be wearing this, and we blossomed.
Bertie's appointment of Dave Sexton as coach was a big step in the right direction. He revolutionised training and the players began to perform.
Dave Sexton was just what the club needed at the time, because the club was a little bit low, and Dave came in with a lot of fantastic ideas, training ideas, very enthusiastic. Used to go over on a Sunday after our Saturday game to watch teams like Inter Milan and AC Milan. Go over there on the Sunday, watch the games, perhaps watch training sessions, come back with a lot of new ideas.
Still Samuels, and he's got a bang on him! Oh, magnificent goal! John Samuels! His first goal of the season!
And Dave Sexton was absolutely brilliant for forwards. Possibly not as talented with the defence. You'd sort of work half an hour with the defence and like 6 hours with the forwards under Dave.
George Graham. That's aimed towards Radford. Up he goes! Oh, Radford! My goodness, what a leap!
And then Dave left, went off to Chelsea, and Bertie gave me the job. But he gave me my freedom to work with the players.
Don, from day one, got stuck in there. He's a guy who literally, if you've played well, he will grab you and hug you, and he will make you realise that you've contributed. If he thinks you've underachieved, he will be in your face. I mean, many a time I've wiped away spittle from my face, and I have been back in his face saying, oh, you know, I mean, literally vicious, but never with anything other than respect for each other.
Oh, Don was brilliant. I thought Don was superb. You know, he was my next door neighbour, but we nearly came to blows many a time at meetings on the Monday morning or at half-time on a Saturday, and, you know, no holds were barred.
Mee's first 2 seasons in charge ended in comfortable top 10 finishes. The team continued to evolve, with George Graham arriving from Chelsea and Bob McNabb from Huddersfield Town, 2 important additions to the squad as Arsenal reached the 1968 League Cup final.
Arsenal kick-off.
The chance for redemption came swiftly, as 12 months later they were red-hot favourites to beat 3rd Division Swindon Town in the 1969 final.
I remember the week prior to that, I think 3/4 of the lads went down with this virus. We had a flu bug or something hit the team.
I, amongst others, got out of my bed on Thursday to play the game on the Saturday. We went to the Wembley to look at the pitch on the Friday, and we thought, oh, this is never going to be played, because it was torrential rain, and there was all planks all over the Wembley pitch. And we thought, oh, it's never going to be played. It was a bog.
We were just dead that day. Didn't really play. Pitch was terrible. It was heavy. Worst thing that could have happened, like, you know, when you've all been struggling for a week or so.
What a terrible mistake by Arsenal! Graham now cooled off in support. Can Gould get to it now? It's a goal by Gould! And my goodness, is he not pleased with life? Bobby Gould! And they are really happy. He's crying. Bobby Gould is crying.
Then we went into extra time, which was the last thing we really wanted. And to be fair to Swindon, yeah, they outplayed us in extra time. And you have to say, deservedly went on to win the game 3-1.
It was a nightmare. And all the headlines now, I remember the shame of London. That's when we really showed the backbone. Out of that came the side that the following year won the Fairs Cup. The worst thing of all was that the last triumph at this club prior to our era was 1953.
We were always being reminded of the great teams
of the 30s and the 50s, and quite rightly, I mean, they were very successful.
There was these photographs on the wall of people like Joe Mercer and the Comptons, and when the club were winning things in those days. And people said, oh, you want to get rid of all those old photographs, you know, it's putting people off, it's putting the players off. And I went, no, hang on. I said, we have to replace these photographs, and we have to replace it with these players here with a cup in their hands so they can go there, and that'll be a pain in the backside for the next group. So that's what we did.
So 1969-70 was to be the season to end the long wait for a trophy. And new to the team that year was a local lad who'd been just 2 years old when Arsenal had last enjoyed success.
People used to say I was a rebel without a cause. I don't know, I might have been, I honestly don't know. I started off with a short haircut, with a skinhead. People never used to say, oh look, he's a skinhead. And I think when you're young, you're a bit rebellious. If someone told me to do something, I would go the opposite way. And I just let my hair grow and grow and grow. And, you know, everyone was more worried about my hair than me playing ability.
Now Robertson to George. That is high. He's got quite a shot on him. 18 years old.
As Charlie's hair grew and colour television spread, so did Arsenal's reputation, especially after impressive performances like this in the European Fairs Cup.
McNabb. Radford. Wonderfully well taken goal. Simpson again. Robertson, Arsenal moving with real authority and looking very composed. What a good header and what a good goal! Graham! Armstrong. Radford. McNabb. Yes! Graham!
They had this resolve. They got round each other. They wanted to win. They made their mind up. They wanted to win something. All they needed was guidance. So that's what we did. And we broke through because we won the Fairs Cup, as it was called then. It's the UEFA Cup now. And we beat Anderlecht in the final, which was difficult. We were 3-0 down over in Anderlecht.
There were a lad called Muller up front. He was absolutely brilliant. He tore us to pieces. And it could have been maybe 4 or 5 out there. I think Ray came on late as a substitute and grabbed a goal. I mean, that was our lifeline, really. I mean, we all came in, to be honest, heads down and this and the other. They give us a right pasting, to be fair. And really, the only one who picked us up, really, was Frank.
Now, at the end of the game, I said, get your heads up. We'll win this game. Just keep it tight at the back, get the ball out wide, get the crosses in, and we'll do them. And that's exactly what happened.
And Armstrong with the kick. McClintock to Kelly. Made a little space for himself there, Kelly, and a bit more there as well. And a goal by Kelly! The left Trafford here standing. George Graham to Bob McNabb right up. Can he turn it back? A good cross there from McNabb. Charlie George. And now it's Samuels going in hard. And a great goal by Samuels! 3-0! Oh, that was a tremendous goal by Samuels!
Probably the greatest night ever at Highbury. 56,000 in the ground. It was an extraordinary night.
It was the first time we'd won for 17 years, and it was so important to us as a team. At last we'd won something. We felt as though that gave us a confidence. And that's what happens with a lot of teams. They need a win behind them, a cup or something, and then they can go on from there.
The confidence then for the following season, we just believed in each other so much. There was a tremendous camaraderie, and we just thought that we could beat anybody and everybody.
Story. Kennedy going in. Redford!
That's a good ball from Graham. He's got 3 on the far post, 1 coming across the nearest Kennedy. From Armstrong.
Rice. Kennedy! Perfectly placed by Rice. Perfectly taken by Kennedy.
We had a good squad, you know. We never had great individuals, but collectively of a team, whatever we did together, and that was the strongest point of the team.
The camaraderie among the players was first class, and I think the outstanding coaching and the man management of both Don and Bertie Mee, that really added to the total picture.
The determination and the ability to win a game, and once we were 1-0 up, you could forget about it. You could go and get your fish and chips, your cup of tea, get on your bike, get home, because we would never gave a game away that I can remember. Once we were 1-0 up, that was it.
Arsenal get their second corner of the game. Oh, it's a good one. And hooked away for George. And it must be McClintock. Got to be McClintock. Armstrong coming in on it. Beautifully played there by Armstrong. Oh, and a dummy there. There's Kennedy in! Oh, a fine goal by Kennedy!
Armstrong with the throw. Kennedy. Graham and Radford are there. They're scoring. A good goal! Scoring a full run back from Arsenal. Armstrong to take the corner. It's a good header. It's there, Graham. Radford. Armstrong. Radford. Yes, Kennedy! Now for Armstrong. That penalty area is so crowded. And Radford going in. And Kelly! Kelly has done it!
Arsenal were tantalisingly close to the title. The only task left was to avoid a defeat or a score draw in their final game against Spurs.
And we played Tottenham, at Tottenham, naturally our big rivals. There was 40,000 at least locked out that night, and I think there was close to 50 or 60,000 at Tottenham. I mean, it was a massive crowd.
I mean, it was an extraordinary pressure, and you were playing a club that were not only your biggest, fiercest rivals and remain so in local terms, but the only club that had achieved the double in that century.
It was like a cup final, really, but the feeling was unbelievable, and you know, to win there 1-0, and Big Ray got a great header.
I mean, everybody said, well, did Tottenham lie down? They didn't lie down. I mean, they were at us right up to the final whistle. After the match, we were in the dressing room, and the commissioner came in and said, Mr. Mee, they would like you to go onto the pitch. So I said to Bertie, Bertie, look, I've just come in. I wouldn't go near it. And he turned to me and he pulled himself up to his whole 5'6" height and said, young man, there is a time in one's career when one thinks of others. Well, off he went, and 20 minutes later he came back and his shirt and tie had gone, his jacket was ripped, and he said, they're mad. Using all the expletives in the world, which was so unlike Bertie, but no, there's some nice days there. Yes, nice days.
That was a great night. I loved that night. I was aware of it all, and you know, and we all went to the pub afterwards. I know the modern day players go and drink 2 bottles of water, but we drank about 2 gallons of beer.
And then only 5 days later, we were asked to do what no other club had done, and then go to Wembley and win the FA Cup final against Liverpool.
The 8th of May 1971, and only Liverpool and the stifling heat stood between this Arsenal side and immortality. Not even Chapman had claimed the double. They were fighting against the odds.
They made Liverpool favourites, the bookies. I had my biggest bet then. I had a £5 on us to win it.
Well, Don and Bertie actually says, look lads, we've won what we wanted to win. You know, well, obviously we want to win the cup final as well. But, you know, we've won it. We've won the championship. Go out and enjoy yourself, you know.
And McClintock winning that one well in the air. George Graham, a nice little touch off there for Charlie George. And he let that one go! He really does strike those balls beautifully.
We slaughtered them. I mean, you know, when you look, I've watched the game a couple of times. I got the video at home. It could have been 4-0, 5-0. I mean, they had one cleared off the line, I think. We had one cleared off the line. But after that, we made like 3, 4 real clear-cut chances. I mean, we should have murdered them.
McNabb, and now Radford. All trying to lift that over Smith's head. He lifts it forward for Kennedy. Oh, what a miss! That was some fine work there as Kennedy applauding his fellow striker Radford. And now the corner. Graham, and Liverpool in terrible trouble until Larry Lloyd finally gets it away from Graham's header.
But I thought we were fitter than Liverpool, and we got people, young people like Eddie Kelly and one or two of them, and they just needed stimulating at the end of the game. There was no like, come on lads, you can do it. It was like, hey, you come on, you. I can remember Emily Hughes, who plays for Liverpool that day. He'd gone. The heat had done him. And of course we're saying to Eddie, go on, get on your bike, get in the box, go on, go on, go on.
Still Highway, dangerous indeed! Oh, goal! Oh, that's the goal! Steve Highway for Liverpool. Wilson came away from that near post, and Highway found the gap.
We went a goal down and Bob Wilson anticipated a cross. I thought I'd get that in.
I contrived to get my angles wrong and give Liverpool the lead, courtesy of Steve Highway's goal. But it was meant to be. We again showed just what an extraordinary team we were. Frank McClintock, best captain I ever played with, an impulsive guy, and it was his impulsive nature that hauled us up off the ground, as it were.
Oh, I just gave him a dirty look. I think he keeps on saying that I slagged him off or something, but we had great respect for Bob. He was as brave as a lion, he really was.
George and Kennedy again. Bradford. Back over his head, Kelly is right in there, playing much more as a striker in this extra time, and it's there! George Graham! It's George Graham who got the touch and makes it 1-1.
Well, George Graham claimed it, but the more I keep looking at the video, he's got a guilty look on his face. He knew.
Now, I thought that the first Arsenal goal was scored by George Graham, and so did practically every journalist in the press box. We can show you now that, in fact, it was scored by Eddie Kelly.
I thought I got a touch at the time. I thought it brushed my leg, but everybody else thought it because the anticipation of the opposition Liverpool players, you could see that everybody thought it was me, you know. But the important thing was we went on to win it and complete the double.
Graham, Bradford, Charlie George, Bradford. Oh, Charlie George, who can hit him? Oh, a great goal! Charlie George! Oh, what a fabulous goal by George! Clements had no chance with that.
Ray Clements had a goal kick, and within about 5 seconds, I think the ball's in the back of the net. And for me, anywhere around 20, 30 yards, strikeable for me. As soon as it left my foot, I knew it was a goal. Well, the celebration was immortal, but didn't I kill some time? I was too far ahead of my time. You know, people are going, I must have laid on the floor for half hour, must have took the whole of extra time up.
And it's all over, and Arsenal have won, and they've done the double. Frank McClintock, his losing streak at Wembley is over.
It took me 5 times before I actually won it, and when I did win it, I was so knackered that I didn't even enjoy it. I'd played 66 competitive matches that year, never was substituted once, plus I played 6 pre-season friendlies as well, so that was 72 games. And I used to shout and bawl during the game, and it used to be 60-odd thousand people here every game. Well done, pat them in the back, kick them up the backside, maybe try and change tactics. So you're expending an awful lot of energy all the time through the games and that, you know, and I was like an empty shell, going up to pick that cup up. It should have been the greatest moment of my life, and yet I was so tired I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have done.
What a smile. From His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, the cup goes to Frank McClintock and the Arsenal. Dr. Stephen, the chairman of the FA. Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent. And there it is for that wonderful crowd of Arsenal.
People have never said we were a great footballing side. They've never accepted our 70-71 side. And even I have had to say, even though we scored great goals, we weren't loved like, say, or looked upon with the beauty, say, of the Tottenham side or the Arsene Wenger side of 2002, the double winning side there. But if you're talking about great teams, the perfect jigsaw of rough edges and smooth edges, we fitted like that. We were absolutely the perfect jigsaw.
But it was about to lose one of its most significant pieces. Rated as the best coach in Europe, Don Howe was in demand, and the offer of the manager's job at West Brom tempted him away.
I was very ambitious, and I don't think anybody would say, well, that was wrong. I really should be ambitious for the Arsenal Football Club again. Everything come, like I said, so quickly. The success comes so quickly. I didn't realise enough what a good team we'd got, and we had got a very good team. I think back to my career at the Arsenal, and I think there's been times when I left when I should have stayed, because I've been there 3 times on and off, and there's times when I stayed when I should have left. I know that now, and don't ask me the story. I know that now, but I can't take it back. And that time, the double time, that was one of the times when I left, when I should have stayed, because there was a lot more in that team.
Steve Burtonshaw took over and did a good job. He's a good coach, Steve, but Don really had his, very tough he was in that, And I think we needed that the following year as well, because some players can get a little bit lax and think they've done it. And the secret of getting and winning the double was the hard work and the dedication that we put in every single game. And sometimes after we won a double, that didn't happen,
There was still plenty of cause for optimism, though, not least with the signing of World Cup winner Alan Ball during the 71-72 season.
Bob Wilson. Kennedy. Story. Bradford. Kennedy moving to his left. Fine goal!
Corner, Armstrong. Oh, what a shot from John Roberts! John Roberts! That's 1-0 Arsenal. John Roberts, the scorer.
Kennedy following it up quickly, and George Graham in there. A lovely 1-2 with Armstrong. Graham again, and a goal! George Graham through the legs of Harvey, but a magnificent 1-2. A magnificent 1-2 by Arsenal.
Rice hitting a good one. Oh, a great goal! Pat Rice.
Armstrong. Graham. A hard one across. Charlie George. Oh, and he's done it on the stroke of half-time. Charlie George.
I personally believe that we could have possibly done the double the following year, but for us to say one reason or another, it didn't work out. But the quality was actually there. That side should have won more trophies than they actually did.
Jones now for Leeds. And McNabb only half stopping him. Jones getting it across. And Clark going in. And Alan Clark has put Leeds ahead.
In 1973, the title provided the main challenge as the Gunners moved into top spot, following this win over closest rivals Liverpool.
No doubt. The Cop roared. Ball stayed cool. And it fairly sizzled into the stanchion at the back. Bradford the target. And he's got it. They've got 2 against 1. Kennedy's there. And now he's by himself. Clements right out. And that is 2-0.
But Arsenal couldn't sustain the challenge, and a disappointing run-in left them 3 points adrift of champions Liverpool. The collapse was to signal a breakup of the great double-winning side.
We nearly did it again, but we didn't do it. And then Bertie and me thought I was getting too old, and he let me go, which broke my heart at the time.
I think the team was broke up too early. The team should have been together for at least another 3 or 4 years because it was capable of winning things, that is for sure. The manager decided to break it up, brought in a couple of players, but that team should, in my opinion, should never have been broken up too soon.
Bertie Mee tried to build a new team with a mixture of young, eager players and cut-price signings, but a consistent winning formula proved elusive.
Story up there. Now Brady. Chance to cross in towards Kidd. Played back for Armstrong. Off it now. Ball. Yes, and a goal. 1-0 to Arsenal. Good running by Kelly. And a good shot. What a tremendous goal that was! And Brady taking the kick. Camacho Nelson. Deflection and cleared off the line by Ingham. And now it's been put in. And I think it's young Rostron again. Yes, it is. Chipped in once more. Osgood in trouble. Kidd. And he's got it in there. Graham Kidd has scored.
Obviously, we welcomed the chance, you know. We wanted the opportunity to show what we could do. But on the other hand, I think it probably happened too quickly, and too many good players left.
I think that we were going through an indifferent period then. You know, there was some old players, there was some players on the actual brink of coming into the first team. You know, so I honestly don't think personally that it was down to Bertie Mee, no.
The general feeling was that Bertie had sort of done his time here, and it's a very stressful job. And I think it was felt that he'd got to a certain age when it would be better if he retired, and we pensioned him off. I hope the parting was amicable, and we saw a lot of Bertie after that.
Mee had reawakened the club from 10 years of torpor and made Arsenal successful once more. However, 17th position was too close to relegation for comfort, and the next appointment would be crucial. Despite having previously managed Spurs, Terry Neill was Arsenal through and through. He knew the traditions of the club as well as anyone.
The phone call came again, which I couldn't resist, obviously, because Dennis Hill-Wood, the old chairman, had been like the second father to me at Highbury. Knew his football, but he used to play the old duffer. He said, "Oh, I'm just the old duffer, doesn't know anything about it. You're the experts, get on with it."
In an attempt to recapture the glory days, he pulled off one of the most audacious transfers of the decade. Malcolm MacDonald, or Super Mac, had been almost deified on Tyneside, yet Neil persuaded him to come to Highbury.
Took him down to see the old man, which is always a clincher, down in Hampshire. And in fact, he got on so well with the chairman, neither Malcolm or I could really totally remember the terms that we thrashed out. Thank God Ken Fryer was around.
I saw Arsenal as the team that would dominate the late 70s, and I wanted to be a part of it.
And again he did well. MacDonald! Here's Brady again with the corner. That looked like a push to me. Hudson with a header. MacDonald with a header! And they've got that two-goal lead again. MacDonald the scorer. It's come to Alan Ball. MacDonald getting up. That's the one he wanted. And how well he put it away. Stapleton's on the far side, so is MacDonald. Stapleton, MacDonald! Armstrong, Matthews is the player in the middle. Had to check to stop being offside. Here comes Ross. Stapleton on the near post. MacDonald! And there it is, the man that seems to write the football stories better than boys' fiction has gone and done it all over again.
The club itself and the supporters, they just got into my blood. I loved it because it was such a professional outfit. The whole thing, everything from the very top with the chairman's Dennis Hill-Wood, filtering all the way down through everybody, down to the tea lady. Everybody had their job and they did their utmost to do it brilliantly. Not just well, but brilliantly. And you just felt honour bound to go and reward in every kick, every tackle, every challenge in the game. You just felt you had to do your absolute best at all times.
In Neil's first season, Arsenal finished in 8th position, and although this was an improvement for the Gunners, the manager decided he needed help on the training pitch. So the prodigal coach, Don Howe, returned to Highbury.
Both our wives thought for many years that we just should have moved in together and got married. We'd be working around the training ground all day, and as soon as I get home, I'm in the study on the phone ringing Dawn, and my wife Sandra's saying, "But you've been with them all day."
Working with Terry again was good. He's always got a smile on his face. He'd always got a few words for you, and they were always Irish words. And he was good to work with. And here again, he was he's a little bit like Bertie in terms that he let me do the job.
They were a great partnership, him and Don Howe. They
I don't think Don could do his job, and I don't think Terry could do Don's job. So we're a good partnership.
The best thing he did was he went and he got Don Howe back from Leeds. And so we then started all over again with a completely new batch of players.
That was Brady's pass, and a beauty it was too to Sunderland. Stapleton on the far post. Sunderland shots. Oh, it's in! He scored again!
Divine, and a great header and a great goal by Price. That really was a beautiful goal.
Nelson. Ultimate shot! And Cooper recovering. Still Sunderland. And turned in by Nelson.
Arsenal at the moment is looking a little bit lethargic and needing to get a goal to whip themselves up into action. By Willie Young.
Went in for O'Leary.
Price is right in there, and Stapleton's right in there, and what a goal!
Frank Stapleton was beginning to mature into a really fine centre forward. Graham Ricks, a very good left-sided midfield player. At the back, Terry brought Pat Jennings in, who was a legendary Arsenal goalkeeper as well. He played nearly 10 years for the club, and he was outstanding. David O'Leary, a world-class centre-back. He was only 19, 20 at the time, so we really were a fine, up-and-coming young side.
And the linchpin was a Dublin-born genius who remains one of the greatest players ever to appear for Arsenal.
Liam Brady is the most deceptive footballer.
Price. McDonald. Brady! A brilliant goal by a brilliant player.
People to this day still remember him for his wonderful left foot. He wasn't just a skillful player, he was a great all-round player.
Brady trying to get in there, might still get in there. Brady, that's a beautiful goal! Liam Brady, his second and Arsenal's second.
Wonderful imagination for a footballer. Lovely playmaker. Wonderful things he did with his left foot. He could knock it all over the pitch. He could go up to people and beat people. I mean, these days, you're talking about this, do you ever see a midfield player who can dribble like Liam Brady? No!
We used to give the ball to Liam Brady on the penalty area, and the rest of us then used to sort of just amble our way upfield, not worry about the ball, have a little chat as we were making our way upfield, and we all used to congregate on the edge of the penalty area on the far post because we knew the cross was going to come in. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Remember that goal at Tottenham, that one goal is good. He picks up the ball and he goes here, there, and he bends it and sticks it right in the top corner.
Oh, Brady won it beautifully. Look at that! Oh, look at that! What a goal by Brady! Oh, a marvellous goal!
It's been remembered best part of a quarter of a century as a very good goal, and they show it time and time again, so it's nice to be remembered in that fashion.
Howe's arrival brought immediate dividends, as in 1978 Arsenal stormed to the FA Cup final, brushing away Orient effortlessly in the semi-final.
Rice going in, now McDonald, deflected again! And this time I think you've got to credit McDonald. This time it's Ricks taking men on, and this is where Orient looks so vulnerable. And it's gone under Jackson, and it's 3 to the delight of Graham Ricks. And that's the moment when they can see Wembley for sure.
The first trophy for the new regime looked a formality on paper, but an inspired Ipswich Town defied the odds.
Does Arsenal get us away? This 1978 FA Cup final.
I was still learning. I actually made mistakes. There were 1 or 2 players that weren't fully fit, and maybe I should have been a little more ruthless.
I don't want to take anything away from them and Bobby Robson, who was a big mate of mine, and they deserved to win in the game, but we were knackered. We were definitely running on empty, as they say.
They only won 1-0, but it could have been 5. They were that good that day. So hats off to them. Well done, Bobby Robson.
There were brickbats aplenty for Arsenal after that cup final, but in the following season's third-round tie at Sheffield Wednesday, it was snowballs that Pat Jennings had to avoid.
Over the years, I mean, as a goalkeeper, you get hit with everything, like from door hands, the snooker balls, the bottles, darts even. So, I mean, the snowballs, it was just a distraction on the day, but at least it didn't hurt all that much.
In the days before penalty shootouts in the FA Cup, Wednesday took Arsenal to an incredible 5 games. And there were other tricky ties en route to Wembley that year, not least a 5th-round match at champions Nottingham Forest.
Stapleton and Sunderland just outside the 6-yard box. And that is a beauty by Stapleton! Shilton never moved to it. Price won it well. Stapleton. Oh yes, Brett Stapleton. He deserves the goal more than any other player on the field. And just look at the reception. Sunderland is through. Alan Sunderland scores against his old club. The goal that almost certainly means Arsenal are destined for Wembley.
So Arsenal were back at Wembley with a chance to redeem themselves. A big day out for a big club.
Look at him, what a beautiful, joyful face there.
Absolutely magnificent. I hope it's his first time he's been here, actually, because he's portraying so much pleasure from it that your first time is always the best.
I think we had a slight advantage having been there the year before and losing, that we knew what it was all about. We didn't get carried away with the hype of the cup final that year. We were more focused, and I think we won because of that.
Sunderland again, good timing getting it in the air. Now Brady with Macari snapping at him. I wonder if that's going to be the sort of thing we shall see for 90 minutes, that Macari will need to stick close to Brady when he's in the midfield there. Price going right in there and turning it back, and a goal, and it's got to be, well, either Talbot or Sunderland.
I honestly think that I made the final touch. I came in to the ball, which was cut back, I think, from David Price, and me and Sunday come in with Martin Buchan. But I've obviously got pictures to prove my foot was on the ball. I think Sunday would have been a bit more wanting to claim it if he hadn't got the winner. The winner was much more important. It won the cup. So Sunday was happy to take the win, and I took the first one.
Here's Brady. It's going all the way. Can he find the shot or the cross? There's the little cross coming in, and that's number 2 by Stapleton.
We were cruising at 2-0. We'd really dominated the game. We were in control, we were playing well, and all of a sudden, Man United got a lifeline.
Koppel lifts that free kick in there again. It'll come all the way through to Jordan, turning it back in there again, and a goal! And it's given! And McQueen is the man who claims it, and suddenly United are back in the game with 4 minutes left, and who knows what might be produced in those 4 minutes.
They got a goal back and we're still all right, and then, I mean, McIlroy came through, and to this day, I thought I was getting there. And he just got a total win underneath me, and that was 2 each. I mean, you can imagine the headlines. You could see the headlines the next day. Arsenal blowing it like.
I often get asked, even these days, how did you feel? Oh, what a stupid question to ask anyone. I'm still waiting for Manchester United to beat us.
What I truthfully thought, if this goes into extra time, they will beat us. Friends of mine were saying to me they never seen our third goal because they had their head buried in their hands. They thought we've blown it.
But wait a moment, it's there by Sunderland, and they're back in the lead again, and they're off the bench once more. What an amazing cup final. Well, that's when you're at your most vulnerable, when suddenly you've got it all back. They relax for a moment, and Arsenal have punished them for it.
From having the cup with both hands on it, really nearly, we had a hand taken off it, and then all of a sudden we had both hands back on it. So it changed within 5 minutes, the game.
Jennings gets it away, it's all over. Arsenal have won it. When it seemed a moment ago they threw it away, the two managers greet each other. James Sexton, sportsman to the end, saying well done to Arsenal. But my word, 5 minutes, I think that anybody here who saw it, and those of you at home, surely will never forget.
I think it was a relief. We just sagged at the end of it all. It was so emotional and so near to getting it, and yet it was slipping away from us. So it was another day to remember.
3 seasons now as the captain, and the proudest moment in his career, because Arsenal make up for last year's defeat and take the cup to Highbury.
We bring Alan Sunderland, who gave us that tremendous climax. Alan, have you got any breath to describe that winning goal?
Well, I can't remember much about it. I think Rixie beat somebody on the left, didn't you? Rixie?
Rixie?
Hello. You beat somebody on the left, didn't you?
Talk us through the winning goal.
I can't remember. I know I just hit it over. I'm a bit tired, and I just come round the back. Stuck it in. And I thought Arthur Albertson were going to get a touch to it, but he just come beyond him, and I just got my foot. I can't remember how it happened. Knocked it in.
I've got to say this, sometimes fate comes into it, and sometimes luck does come into football. For all the skills and all the great players, we all need a little bit of luck at the right time.
Arsenal were rapidly gaining a reputation for being particularly adept in the cup competitions. This win over Gothenburg in the 1980 Cup Winners' Cup set up a semi-final tie against Juventus. Their only problem now was fitting all the games into the schedule.
Juventus had 10 days off. Our Easter programme was Southampton at home on the Saturday, Spurs away in the Monday afternoon, Juventus in the first leg, the Cup Winners' Cup on the Wednesday, and Liverpool at Hillsborough, FA Cup semi-final on the Saturday. I mean, they talk these days about pressure of games and everything like that. We just seem to be on a plane or a coach all season.
The first leg at Highbury saw Juventus take the lead and score a vital away goal through Cabrini. Then an own goal equaliser from the head of Roberto Bettega gave Arsenal a glimmer of hope, but the return leg in Turin still looked daunting.
It's an unbelievable night, that. I think they were happy to just see the game played out for the 90 minutes and go through on their way goal. And of course, Vaston nicked the goal for us in the last few minutes of the match, and we walked past the Juventus dressing room, and there wasn't a sound coming from the dressing room. They were just devastated.
That was one of the greatest victories in Arsenal's history, and we deserved it on the night. I don't think Juventus had lost a European tie for many, many, many years in Turin.
There was no basking in the glory of Turin, though, as Arsenal faced up to an FA Cup semi-final with all-conquering Liverpool. It proved to be an epic, needing 3 replays.
I think those 4 games were probably one of the greatest adverts for English football. Great teams, great players, hardly a whisker in it.
It was finally decided at Highfield Road at Coventry, and I came in from 12 yards and just headed it down and went in the corner of the net. And that turned out to be the winning goal.
But at the moment it's Pat Rice for Arsenal. Played out nicely here again for Arsenal, but Ray Kennedy that time coming to stop Stapleton, but Stapleton got a second chance. Talbot coming in, and Arsenal are in the lead with Brian Talbot. And that's a good break forward by Phil Neal, and it might work for them. Dalglish with a shot. Oh, off the legs of Jennings, and Souness tried to turn it in, and somehow Jennings retrieved it again. Liverpool's double is finished because Arsenal have won and go through to Wembley to meet West Ham on Saturday week.
You think you've done the hard bit then, but what we didn't realise, the hard bit was still to come.
Those semi-finals against Liverpool taken lots and lots out of us. I think by the time we got rid of Liverpool, it was, instead of a month's preparation for the final, it was about 10 days. And lots of games. And West Ham, sunny, we turned up, we didn't play. And quite rightly, they deserved to win it in a scrappy, poor game.
Drained by their exertions, the defeat by West Ham was a bitter and unexpected blow. Now the side had just 4 days to regroup before the Cup Winners' Cup final against Valencia.
We went to Brussels and thinking, OK, let's make up for a disappointment at the cup final.
I felt as though we did enough to actually win that. We went at them more than they went at us.
That's Karate following up, and Karate left his foot there a little bit. You could see the reaction of Sammy Nelson. Now Karate was first in with the foot there, and I think the referee may feel he's overreacting to the
alleged retaliation, because these Spaniards are regarded as very good actors.
But I think if there was anybody going to score in normal time, it was going to be us. I think we were still the team that were taking the game to the other team.
Brady shot! Oh, he saved it!
I think both teams cancelled each other out, and there was not a lot of chances in the game. And it looked like it was going to be a 0-0 ball, so it'd have to go to penalties.
And the people who you think, well, he'll score, but he won. It was the opposite way around with us.
And it's Mario Kempes, the man who won the World Cup for Argentina, against Pat Jennings, the man who's saved so many matches for Arsenal. You couldn't ask for two greater protagonists with which to start this unique competition. And Pat saved it! Oh, Pat Jennings has saved from Kempes!
I saved the first one from Kempes, and then, of course, you know, you think, well, first, it's a good start. All we've got to do now is score, but maybe penalties never really work out that way, do they?
Brady against Pereira. Oh, and he saved it as well! Goodness me! We're back to square one again.
It lives with me to this day. You know, if only had I gone to the other side. I think what the keeper did that evening was decide to go to his left every time. And the law of averages was that he was going to guess that one of them went there.
This is sudden death now. It's a question of each side taking one until somebody misses with an even number of kicks taken. Arias. Oh, it just went in underneath Pat Jennings, I think. There are one or two of them, actually, who don't really want to watch this. But now Ricks. Oh, he saved it! And Valencia have won the Cup Winners' Cup because Graham Ricks' penalty was saved by Carlos Pereira. And the Valencia players go wild with delight.
We lost it, so I'm just as much to blame as the people who took the penalties and didn't score, you know, because we were all part of a team, and what we say is there's no I in team. You know, we're all in it together.
We ended up playing 70 games that season. Magnificent season. We ended up winning nothing.
I think by the time the West Ham game came around and the Valencia game a few days later, we just lost our edge. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking by it. I signed during the pre-season for Juventus one evening in London. Away I went. Very, very sad day to leave Arsenal, and Frank Stapleton left quickly after me as well.
From that day, you thought to yourself, well, is this the breakup of it all? You know, because really and truthfully, who knows if that team had been kept together, what else might that team have won?
The other transfer activity of 1980 was frantic, to say the least. Just weeks after signing Clive Allen from Queen's Park Rangers, Terry Neill swapped him for Crystal Palace's Kenny Sansom.
If I had £1 for every time I got asked that question, what happened with you and Clive Allen? I said, I don't really know. There's one rumour that I heard, that Terry Venables was at QPR and he had a fallout with Jim Gregory, who was the chairman at Queen's Park Rangers, and went to Crystal Palace. And Jim vowed never to sell a player from Queen's Park Rangers to Crystal Palace. So the deal went, instead of that, Clive went to Arsenal, and then, boom. That's the only story, but you'll have to ask Terry Venables or Terry Neill. They might know the answer.
We didn't concoct anything. It was just straightforward. I had Sammy Nelson, who had been troubled for quite a while with a bit of a knee injury, and Terry had been having one or two problems with Kenny. And I realised when we were completing the swap round, there would be a lot of questions, a lot of queries, but my only concern was for the welfare of Arsenal Football Club.
I phoned home to say I'd signed, and my brother said Bob Paisley, I think, was in charge of Liverpool at the time. He said, he's just phoned me, he wants to sign you. And I'd already signed for Arsenal. I made the right choice.
Sunderland again. Arsenal had four waiting for the cross. Flicked on by Ricks. Sansom was right in there, and that was Gatting! And Arsenal go two in front.
Referee Midgley allowing for the conditions and also playing advantage. Intelligent bit of refereeing. Sunderland, and that's a beautiful goal for Talbot. 1-1.
Davis played for Ricks. Ah, good chance for Ricks. Talbot's gone right in the middle there. McDermott coming up fast.
Woodcock. Sunderland outside him. Woodcock and Robson advancing into that area. And Woodcock! What a brilliant goal!
Woodcock. Russell Sims. And Woodcock getting it through there. Oh! A fabulous goal there!
Ricks playing it wide. Good period this for Arsenal. Sunderland, the ball broke for him nicely. Talbot trying to turn it in. 2-0. Brian Talbot the second. 2 goals in a little over a couple of minutes have suddenly put Arsenal right in the clear.
Flicked header there from Woodcock to Ricks. What a fine goal from Graham Ricks. That left foot so accurate.
There were still flashes of inspiration and some creditable finishes, but the pressure on Terry Neill to deliver trophies began to grow. His last throw of the dice was the signing of a maverick young striker from Celtic, Charlie Nicholas, Scotland's brightest young thing, but the burden of expectation simply proved too great.
I'd obviously rejected Liverpool, Manchester United and Inter Milan, and I thought the Arsenal had the basis of a team that was going to rebuild and get back to being one of the top clubs again. And that was the essence behind it for me, but they said that I was going to transform this club, which was doing nothing for 6-7 years. So it was difficult for me, but I was only 21, and here I was getting the burden of the pressure to say, it's up to you to make Arsenal great again.
And a really big crowd here at Highbury today. I'm just wondering how many of them are drawn by the man wearing the number 10 shirt for Arsenal. Charlie Nicholas on the ball at the moment. With a nice back heel finding Kenny Sansom.
Well, we knew Charlie's reputation in Scotland was, he scored from fantastic goals, could go past people. I think his nutmegging was second to none at the time. He would nutmeg most probably every player in training. And I think there was a lot of expected of Charlie.
Charlie came down with all this hullabaloo and a playboy image, really, and he was a great lad. He added something to the dressing room, definitely. He was lively. He used to like a night out, like a lot of young people do.
When I came to Arsenal, I was 21. I was very single. It was also very lonely. Most of the players were married, and it was hard work. There wasn't a particular social side to the club. I mean, I used to dread finishing training some days because I had a whole day to face, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And that becomes concerning when you're fairly young and lonely. You know, you're searching for things to do, and it wasn't always easy.
Charlie's trouble in settling into new surroundings affected him on the pitch, and a meagre return of 2 goals in his first 17 games did little to lift the weight from Neil's shoulders. Nicholas's talent was undoubted, but demonstrating it was a different matter.
And the crowd were out there time after time, chanting for Terry's head, and the players weren't particularly responding to Terry's style.
You live or die by results, and for a club like Arsenal, you have to win trophies, you have to challenge for honours. So, all right, you can't always be, because someone has to come first and someone has to come last. But if you're not getting to cup finals, you're not challenging for the title, the board of directors and the fans, to a certain extent, obviously, looked to what is wrong, because we're a big club, we've got to be there.
In December 1983, Neil left Arsenal on amicable terms, but he remains passionate about the club he served with such distinction.
What makes Arsenal so special to me is not just the length of time that I've been there, but the people. You know, the old expression, once an Arsenal man, always an Arsenal man. But that is true for me.
Well, that was the time I stayed when I should have left. And I realised after that when the club decided that Terry should go, I really should have said, look, yeah, I'd love to be a manager, but no, this is not the time. Whether there'd ever been a time, I don't know. Because I'd been there for 8 years. The players had heard it all before. They'd seen it all before, okay? They'd seen the bald head before, okay? They're not going to be stimulated by that anymore. That was the time I should have said, no, that's not one for me. Off I go somewhere else.
Don made an encouraging start, and as the 1984-85 season opened, Arsenal could boast a team full of internationals and household names who on their day were capable of beating anyone.
Liverpool have pulled everybody back, and Brian Talbot and Charlie Nicholas, either one of them might fancy their chances from this central position. And Talbot, yes! 2 in a week for Brian Talbot. In the same corner, the same flighted free kick. And Grobbelaar was just as powerless as the Newcastle goalkeeper on Tuesday. And again, Anderson's joined the attack outside of Kennedy. And he got there too, and Davis was in there, and Woodcock was in there! 2-0 to Arsenal, Woodcock the scorer. And Mariner was hoping to get a free kick there, but the advantage really is Anderson's.
Not everyone enjoyed Arsenal's style of play, though, and however unfair and inaccurate it might have been, Don's team was branded as boring.
Do you think, though, that at the moment clubs have an obligation to play entertaining football and to try and win back the fans generally?
Yeah, that's right. All I can do is take you back to... I remember seeing the finals of the men's singles at Wimbledon. Connor was playing Borg, and Connor was going down in the third set. And there was one of his fans in the crowd said, "Come on, Connor." And he said, "For Christ's sake, we're trying." And that's exactly our situation. For Christ's sake, we're trying.
Talbot for Arsenal. Nicholas. Just kept it in. Look for Woodcock, and what a fine header! Oh, a superb goal!
Well, they always called us a little bit defensive. I mean, you couldn't ask me just to defend because I like to go forward, like the modern wing-backs nowadays. So that we tried to work on not letting any goals in. That's the first thing. I think most successful teams do that. And then obviously we tried to hit teams and attack teams as well. But I think they were more defensively minded than possibly attacking minded.
Allinson. 3 up with him for Arsenal. Nicholas. Woodcock wants it far post. Mariner lets it run. Talbot. And it's all over. Beautifully made goal.
Don was never boring. Don was fun. I think he never came across as a fun-loving guy or a man who was telling jokes. And he did his job. And he made us aware of our defensive responsibilities. When we lose the ball, we all get behind it and win it back as soon as possible.
We made the basis a fantastic side. But again, it came to the stage that once we started thinking about the game and Don started thinking, sometimes we need to be cautious rather than attack, we need to be cautious. And it worked to a disadvantage to us. We were an attacking side, we should have continued to be that way.
By March 1986, with little sign of a serious challenge for honours and attendances dipping, Don realised new blood was needed and stepped down after a 3-0 win over Coventry, Arsenal's 4th victory in a row. He bowed out in style.
It's always a tough decision. You can't make it, but I thought about it. I thought it out. I chatted it over with my wife. I'd thought about it. I wasn't really happy with the dressing room. So having given all that kind of going to bed, lying in bed, what about the Arsenal, about that, how about this, all the things you do when you're thinking about things, I'd come to the conclusion, it's time to move on.
Arsenal launched a search for a manager to bring some silverware to the plush surroundings and marble halls of Highbury. In the end, they turned to a man who'd been instrumental in the 71 double success and who, during his apprenticeship as an up-and-coming coach and manager at Millwall, had dreamed of returning to Arsenal to follow in the footsteps of the greats.
Look back and see the past managers, the great managers. Chapman, who was the manager of the first Arsenal team to win a major trophy. And my dream and my ambition would to be actually to bring those times back here as a manager. And if I could emulate what they did in the 30s, I'd be a very, very happy person.
I think everybody thought that really they were underachieving for the size of a club like Arsenal. And they just probably needed a bit of fresh blood, and I was young, probably very, very ambitious. Luckily for me at Arsenal, it all came off, it all worked very well.
George was very, very fair. With every single player, he would give you a chance. If you messed up, then he would punish you. He wouldn't have any thoughts of dropping the best player in the team.
It was a very exciting time at Highbury, because George Graham just arrived, and like a new era just starting. It was a great feeling.
So, a new beginning for the Gunners, and George certainly had plenty of reasons to be cheerful about the team he'd inherited from Don Howe.
Yes, there's a nice balance about the side just now. We've got experienced players at the back, like Viv Anderson, Kenny Sampson, who are obviously helping the younger players.
Look at the ball. Bit further. Go on then.
Young Adams at the back is fitted in lovely with those. Wonderful trainer. I think he's a natural leader. A great learner. And I think eventually he's going to captain Arsenal, and I think eventually he will captain England. And you've got young David Rocastle, very exciting, so much raw talent. When he actually keeps on learning, I think he's going to be a very exciting player, not only for Arsenal, but probably for England. And then you've got front, and you've got young Niall Quinn, another one from the Irish connection. And young Niall is coming for a bit of criticism because of his ungainliness. But lovely attitude and training, wants to learn, and I've got a lot of time for him. And then young Martin Hayes, who's obviously he nearly finished up going to Huddersfield a couple of months ago. Martin's come back to prove something to me. He's got Arsenal at heart. He wants to do very well, and as long as he keeps producing the goods and tries to prove me wrong, I'm very, very pleased with him. There were a bunch of wonderful, talented young players, and I just thought now was the time to maybe blood some of them. And along with my purchase and buys from the lower divisions, with a wonderful combination.
Sansom. And Quinn's there, and Adams is there. And it's a goal to Arsenal. They scored anyway. Oh, look at that. That's super football by Arsenal. And Hayes onto a pass by Nicholas. Martin Hayes is going through for Arsenal, and brought down was a yes. Paul Davis, it's there! 2-0 to Arsenal. Martin Hayes is in there, and it's Nicholas. Good save, Nicholas. Goal for Arsenal. What a start. Charlie Nicholas. Hayes. Nicholas. Hayes again. Hayes is through. Oh, that's a lovely goal. And Martin Hayes, no wonder he's smiling.
I was so committed to trying to get that bit of silverware. And of course we were facing Liverpool, who were dynamic. I was sweating a little bit, I have to say that. I was petrified. I was worried in case Rush would score first and we would face the usual Rush who scored and Liverpool won.
Rush. Mulby. That's a great ball. This is Steve McMahon. O'Leary coming across. He's left Rush. It's such a familiar sight. And Arsenal now will be desperately trying to get out of their mind that infernal statistic.
Every time Ian Rush scored, they never lost a game.
The records are there to be broken, and we broke that one that day. But we were aware of it on the day. I remember myself on the days thinking, they started well, Liverpool, and they scored, and thinking Ian Rush scored as well. We're in for one then. But we got down, worked hard, and as they turned it round.
Look at them poised. You think it was just out of 100 metres. Davis hit the wall. Sansom. Anderson. Adams. Nicholas off the post. Anderson. Yes, it's got in. It's Charlie. Charlie Nicholas has done it.
The first goal, I actually missed a peach of a chance just before it, and I hit the post, and it came back out, and Viv put it back in to the area again and tap in, and I just remember Tony Adams just about half strangling me in the celebration. I didn't even get a chance to celebrate. I was on the run, and of course I wasn't the quickest, so Tony Adams had kind of wrapped his arms around my throat, and I just remember thinking, we're back in the game.
Sansom. Groves. He's away from Gillespie. Nicholas and Rocastle in the area. Nicholas! Yes! Got a deflection, I think. 7 minutes to go. He's the Bonnie Prince this afternoon.
Sometimes it's just fate. I'm a realist, and it's fate, and I didn't stab the second goal at all well. I tried to play it near post, and it hit Ronnie Whelan's heel and deflected by Grobler into the far post. But the Little Woods Cup was a fantastic success for me.
You know, I walked up the steps and I was captain on the day and lifted the trophy, so that was pretty special. Got a lot of stick for wearing those hats. You just won a cup final, beating Liverpool at Wembley, and someone gives you a hat and you immediately put it on.
That was the start of an upward swing, you know, in Arsenal's fortunes. We knew we were on our way. We were a young team, full of outstanding young players who come through the Arsenal system, and plus the young players that I bought from the lower divisions who were hungry.
No one hungrier than Beanpole striker Alan Smith, who, when leaving Leicester City, rejected Manchester United and chose instead to join a side that was full of potential.
And they looked like a team that was going places. Ken Fryer, the managing director, came up to Leicester, then took me back to London to discuss terms the next day. And the one thing he always reminds me of is the fact I stopped at Mr. Fryer's house and I got locked in the toilet in the morning. They had a dodgy handle on the bathroom, and I went in. I couldn't get out, and I was, you know, politely trying to knock and didn't want to scream, let me out. But to this day, he always reminds me of that. But I signed, and in hindsight, it was a fantastic decision.
Alan Smith, to me, actually, is a bit of an unsung hero at Arsenal. Finished up top goal scorer with a Golden Boot twice. And I thought he was underrated by a lot of people in the game, but I thought he had a great all-round game.
He was a demanding manager, but once he'd seen your best performance, he wanted to see that every day of the week and every Saturday, really.
The left foot cross coming in, Smith!
Nigel Winterburn came along a couple of months afterwards, Lee Dixon, Steve Bold, so he was building that defence, which went on to become legendary. He had the likes of David Rocastle, bless him, who's now passed away, on the right, who's absolutely fantastic player. Mickey Thomas in midfield, who could run all day, Paul Davies, all these lads had come through the youth set-up. So there was a lot of players who had Arsenal in the heart, you know, and George managed, with the ones that came in, to put that in the heart as well. You know, we're all fighting for the badge, and we had a tremendous togetherness and team spirit and never-say-die attitude, which was instilled in us as Arsenal players.
Arsenal reached a second consecutive League Cup final, but went down to an injury-time defeat against Luton Town. A blow, but the wider picture showed that Arsenal were gradually developing into championship contenders.
Our expectations weren't as high as perhaps other people were thinking. I think the fact that we were playing together for the first time was a bit of a novelty, and obviously some of the players, including myself, had never played in the First Division before, as it was. So yeah, we thought we would do all right, but we never really thought we'd reach the heights that we did.
Thomas as well! Arsenal ahead! Real nip and tuck. Rocastle playing it in! Smith getting in there! Up goes Smith. Nicely down for Marwood. Played down for Merson! And it's another one! 2-0.
Brilliant finish!
Struck over! Fabulous goal by Rocastle!
Promising this for Arsenal. Merson. Oh, that was great work by Butterworth, but still the danger from Winterburn. Yes! Nigel Winterburn gives Arsenal the lead. Smith. What a great effort! Oh, my word, what a goal! Goal of sheer quality by Alan Smith. It wasn't even a half chance. Oh, given away by Putney to Smith, and now Rocastle and Thomas is in support as well. Rocastle finds Thomas. That's 3. Merson. Well, messed it up completely, and it breaks for Smith. What a strange goal, but they all count, and it's Smith's second. Arsenal on the rampage now with Rocastle here. Yes, it's another 2 in a minute.
With 3 games to go, we only had to win 1 or 2 home matches and then play Liverpool away, and the championship could have been won before we went to Liverpool. When you're going to win the major trophy for the first time for so many years, yeah, you do get hiccups along the way, and that's a test. You know, and tests are there to be met, and you think, right, are we going to collapse? Are we going to, you know, stick our chin up and our chest out? But we faltered, and then we had to go up to Anfield, having to win 2-0, you know, against arguably the best team in the country.
Arsenal had to go to an emotionally charged Anfield and face a Liverpool side in search of their second double in 3 years. With the Kop in full voice, it looked like mission impossible for the Gunners. They were the ones who could be excused for feeling alone.
The onus very much on Arsenal, but a 1-0 Wimbledon-style win is no good to them. They've got to win, and they've got to win well.
Well, no one outside London, or sometimes in London as well, didn't expect us to win.
I think a lot of us deep down, if I'm perfectly honest, we thought, well, we're never going to do it, because Liverpool were a great side, and we were still a young team that had perhaps thrown the championship away. So in that respect, I suppose the pressure was taken all off us, and George was quite relaxed. His team talk before the game was classic, because he said he could just keep it tight for the first half, you know, 0-0 at half time,
nick an early goal in the second half and then win it in the last few minutes, that'd be great. And we all sort of laughed, and it's just ironic the way it happened, and I can still hear his words now saying that before the game.
10 is Steve Bold. Now, a bit of a surprise on a night when you imagine that Arsenal must really attack, that a third centre-back, Steve, has been included.
It was well planned. I mean, the actual players' surprise when a change from what's a regular 4-4-2 to a 3-5-2. So we decided to play with three: Tony Adams, Stevie Bold and David O'Leary, and then Lee Dixon could really push tight in John Barnes, and Nigel Winterburn tight in Ray Houghton. And it worked a treat. You know, I thought it worked superbly, and you take these chances being a manager. If it works and comes off, you're a hero, and if it doesn't, you're a villain.
Well, Bold is up there again. It's Merson on the far side that they're aiming for, but it was Bold's header here for Rocastle, tangling with Whelan. Michael Thomas getting to the byline. This could be danger for Liverpool here. And it's flicked just wide. The header by Bold eluded Grobbelaar. And Arsenal within a whisker of getting the goal they so desperately wanted early in this game.
By half-time, it was still 0-0, and George was still thinking there'd be chances come. You know, it's down to taking them, and you can do this. And that's what happened.
So it's all going according to plan, lads. All we need to do is get a goal, you know, whenever, and then we've only got to get one more, so just make sure you keep a clean sheet.
Winterburn and Richardson behind it. Adams has made a darting little run in there. And Smith! And Arsenal have scored. The Liverpool players are surrounding the referee, asking him to speak to a linesman.
I've spoken to some of the Liverpool lads since, Steve Nicol and Ronnie Whelan, and I always say, well, what were you appealing about? And they said, well, we thought it was either offside or you didn't touch it, so we just thought we'd try our luck, you know. One of the most frequently asked questions people ask me is, did you touch it? And I always say, yeah, I did, I got a good touch. It was just the fact that the flight of the ball didn't change all that much, I just helped it on its way. It was quite tense when they surrounded the ref and the ref went over to the linesman, and you know, it was quite intimidating because you had the likes of Ronnie Whelan bawling in their ear and trying to influence them. So when the ref pointed to the centre circle, that was, you know, a great moment of relief.
Ronnie Whelan looking on there, the goal's been given. And what a game we have now. On to Alan Smith. Ablett's there with him. Merson. Richardson. A chance here. Thomas! And Grobbelaar was able to grab it. There are the signals. Get forward, get forward.
I think the great story from it is when Steve McMahon is putting one finger up, and I can remember that, and I'm sure the lads that played that night, and there's only 1 minute to go, we've lost it. That for the lads must have been, God, when they scored that goal. I still watch it, and I'm disappointed I wasn't there, but I'm pleased for them lads that were actually in the team.
Arsenal comes streaming forward now in surely what will be their last attack. A good ball by Dixon, finding Smith. For Thomas, charging through the midfield. Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas, right at the end. An unbelievable climax to the league season.
I remember it like it was yesterday. John Lukic threw it to Lee Dixon, right back position.
And then it went Lee Dixon, Alan Smith, Mickey Thomas.
I went for Bruce Grobbelaar to make a decision.
I could see Alan Hansen and Steve Staunton closing in, and I'm thinking, Mickey, you got to shoot, you got to shoot. They're going to get a tackle in, but he just released the ball in the nick of time.
You can't really describe how you feel at that moment of time. It's just an elation. It's just, it's an out-of-body experience. You just go crazy.
The ball went in the net, and I just started crying on the pitch, and I just thought, we've done it. And then, before I knew it, Liverpool were kicking off again, and I just kept thinking, well, if they come down my side now, I've had it, because I couldn't see. I was tears rolling down my eyes, and I'm wiping the tears out my eyes thinking, please, and luckily they went down the other side, and then, you know, literally seconds, they blew the whistle and started crying again.
Set the final whistle. Arsenal, the champions. A momentous occasion this for Arsenal. Coming here, requiring a 2-goal lead, and snatched it in the most dramatic fashion in the last minute of the game.
all directors' decorum went out of the window. I sort of jumped down, catapulted myself out of my seat and punched the air. I said, yes! And then I suddenly came down into my seat again, and Peter would turn round to me, took out a cigar, and he said, never in any doubt.
Full time, obviously it was elations when it was just like pandemonium. We just went crazy.
I burst out crying with emotion. I couldn't believe it. I had my dad and my brother there, and it was great to share with them. It was my son's birthday. It was just a fantastic day. I'd waited so long to get my first championship medal.
I mean, everybody said it was impossible here tonight, but you kept going until the 91st minute.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. We had that bit of luck tonight, didn't we? We got the late goal, and there's no way they was going to come back scoring that late. You know, the lads were really fired up, and I'm very pleased, and the boys are magnificent, played brilliant.
We were all fairly young, and for us, it was our first big trophy, our first big moment in football, but I think we all agreed then that things will never get better than that. Impossible, really, for anything more dramatic to happen.
If there's one thing I think I'm proud of in my managerial career was giving the Arsenal supporters wonderful memories, and probably the best is the Anfield 2-0 victory.
Nothing really can come close to Anfield, 89.
As long as football is written about or spoken about, it will always be there, because it was just one of those very special occasions. I mean, you know, you live for those sort of occasions.
King of all he surveyed, but there was no resting on laurels for George Graham. After missing out in 1990, he brought in some fresh faces. The two most influential being jet-heeled Swedish international winger Anders Limpar and an up-and-coming goalkeeper from Queen's Park Rangers who boasted a very safe pair of hands.
The man is a colossus, really, to be here 13 years. Been fantastic man for the club. As soon as he came, he fit in straight away. Didn't have the ponytail, but he had this crazy laugh, you know, everybody knows him for. But he was a great guy.
Limpar was very important. I thought for the first half of the season, he was probably the most exciting player in the English league. He had flair, he was quick over 5 yards, 2 good feet, and a magnificent shot. And on his day, without question, one of the most exciting talents in English football.
George's Arsenal team looked to have the perfect blend of flair and solidity. And there was a team unity that always shone through, whatever the circumstances.
A couple of minutes to go to half-time. And Limpar made a long run to get himself involved, and Keith Hackett has given the goal. Arsenal have stolen a goal here, and the player that they're calling their new match winner, he's caught out Seeley.
Limpar's goal was not the main headline, although he was at the heart of the other central event. This unpunished kick on him by Dennis Irwin sparking a brawl that would ultimately cost the Gunners 2 points.
I can remember how it started. Nigel piled into McClare, bit of a bad tackle to be fair. He reacted on Nigel, and then all hell broke loose, you know. But I kind of stood there on the edge and watched it all go on. It wasn't a 22-man brawl, there were a couple of us watching.
It wasn't a brawl, because no one threw any punches. That was the funny thing about it. Not one person threw a punch, you know. And then all of a sudden we got docked points. And since this day, nobody else has been docked points.
We were handicapped, you know, we're fancy to win the title, and I thought, let's make it more interesting, let's handicap Arsenal more.
I think there was a feeling throughout the club that, you know, those 2 points weren't going to make the difference, and we were going to respond in the right way, and we never looked back.
Dixon from right to left to Limpar. And Southall, Grove scores.
Merson, oh what a lovely back heel. Smith with a shot, a fantastic goal. 3-0. Long clearance by Davidson. Campbell, great save, Merson. It's 2-0.
Now Alan Smith. Campbell. That's the inspiration we've been looking for, and Kevin Campbell has provided it.
The Gunners received a timely boost when Tony Adams returned to the side after a short prison sentence. He was back to lead the team in the crunch title match at Anfield.
What a good ball. Beautifully finding Peter Beardsley. Barnes has made a great break for Liverpool. Oh, wonderful goalkeeping. Barnes, great save again. Merson. Oh, that's a good ball. Smith playing him back in now for Paul Merson. It's a goal for Arsenal, and Merson has scored it.
Arsenal's record for the season made impressive reading, with just 1 defeat and only 18 goals conceded. The title was wrapped up with 2 games to spare, after closest rivals Liverpool slipped up in an early kick-off on Bank Holiday Monday. It meant the game that evening at Highbury against Manchester United became a championship party, and Alan Smith in particular celebrated in some style.
It's a good quick throw there. Dixon. It's in by Alan Smith. Robbins. Here's Campbell. Smith up ahead of him. Ferguson's after him, and he might find it hard to get rid of Campbell. Is Smith. It's another one for Alan Smith. Alan Smith on a hat-trick on this night of celebration for Arsenal. Big striker whose goals have been so valuable over the last 3 or 4 seasons for Arsenal.
He's looking for the golden boot for the top scorer, so desperately wants to score.
A hat-trick for Alan Smith. 3-0 for Arsenal.
We were proud of our record that year of, I think, only conceding 18 goals, a record amount of clean sheets for that season, and also only losing the 1 game. So we're pretty mean at the back.
We were like a machine, and I think people, they didn't want to see a machine, you know, win the championship. They wanted flair, they wanted excitement. But, you know, I always thought, you know, like there is machines, there's, you know, like Rolls Royce, and I thought we were a Rolls Royce that year.
Well, you won with 2 games to spare.
Yeah, that's right, you know, but it's just fantastic for us. It's going to be a great day. We're really going to enjoy it.
Actually, if we get like Mitchell Thomas here, it's going to be very difficult to get any sense out of anybody in here tonight.
Graham's champions of 1991 had the meanest defence, and now they had one of the hottest strikers in the country. New signing Ian Wright was to become a Highbury legend with his own unique style.
We needed a goal scorer badly. We were relying on Alan Smith a bit too much. And Ian Wright was just a goal machine, you know, a great character, wonderful in training. I got on great with him, and I love coaching him, even though I didn't teach him that much, because I think it's just a one-off, it's just a natural. And he went on to become a big favourite with the Arsenal fans.
Perry Groves battles to win it off Barlow, and it's a good-looking cross, and he's there. Wright has equalised.
Merson.
Ian Wright with foot. It's in.
It was true, basically, that if you stopped Ian Wright scoring, you stopped the team, because far too few players, apart from him, you know, myself included, weren't chipping in with goals. We weren't playing with width then, and it was we were playing quite a straight game in straight lines, and we were pretty average in midfield, I have to say. We didn't have much creativity.
I was probably looking around to tinker with the team, and maybe we were definitely short of midfield players, I know that, and I was looking all over Europe to add to it. So without winning the championship so quickly again, we still did well in the cups.
We was always a good cup team, and I don't think we scored many goals, but we always seemed to keep clean sheets, and you know, it was very important that we done that. And I think, I don't know why, but we didn't have a very good record in the league, but in the cups we always seemed to do well. In '93 we won the double, both cups.
Arsenal took up near permanent residency at Wembley that season. Even the FA Cup semi-final against Tottenham was staged there. Tony Adams' powerful header settled the game. Ironically, Sheffield Wednesday would be the opponents in both League and FA Cup finals.
Sheridan playing it now for King. Knocked through the middle now. Parks with the shot! And a goal for Wednesday!
Davis chipping that one through. Merson with a shot. It's in! So it's 1-1. It's gone past Anderson. What sort of cross can he put in? There's a goal for Arsenal by Morrow! Bad mistake by Sheffield Wednesday. Punished to the full by Arsenal. It's victory for Arsenal. Smith for Wright. He's through here. It's Wright for Arsenal. It's a goal for Arsenal. Ian Wright yet again. Wright jumping with Linnigan. Here's Hurst. This is Hawks. Good ball in. Bright. Not quite. What is it? It's in. 1-0. A minute gone at the end of extra time. Added on for stoppages. Merson to take it. Campbell at the near post with Smith. Adams and Linnigan forward. Linnigan's there! It's in! It's there! Andy Linnigan has scored at the end of extra time. Indeed, in stoppage time. Arsenal complete a unique double. The League Cup and the FA Cup in the same season.
To win both, yeah, it was a wonderful achievement because I'd already won both as a player. So I won both as a player and both as a manager. So it was a little bit of satisfaction there.
I was 20 years at the club, just gone the 2nd of May '93, and to bow out at Wembley winning the FA Cup was brilliant. I don't know why, but I ended up coming down the steps at the end, and there was film clips of me bringing the cup down. So I thought, it was probably right, but I don't know how it was worked that I did end up coming down with the cup at the end. And that's a great memory. And you walk around the pitch, and every time you walk around Wembley and you win, you should be really happy and delighted because you make, you know, they don't come around very often. But I was delighted but sad because as I was going around, I was getting near that tunnel at the far end. I knew once I went out that tunnel that I'd never put an Arsenal jersey on again. And, you know, it was mixed feelings there. But I thought to myself, what a way to finish.
The following season, Arsenal were on the trophy trail again, but this time in Europe in the Cup Winners' Cup. They beat some of the continent's finest teams en route to the final, Kevin Campbell's goal seeing off the challenge of Paris Saint-Germain. But for the final itself, they would be without their star player and top scorer.
Now Wright trying to get away from Politaire and from Roche, but Roche, who's just back from injury, goes down and, well, is this going to be a yellow card for Ian Wright? I think it is, and that would mean he's out of the final.
And it would be far from plain sailing in Copenhagen, the venue for the final against crack Italian side Parma.
We weren't fancied against Parma because we had injuries, suspensions. Ian Wright was suspended, Martin Keown failed the late fitness test. It was quite a weakened side. They had Zola, Thomas Brolin, Asprilla. They had the whole of Italy's defence, I think.
But for 20 minutes, we were right under the cosh. But once we scored, we knew we were going to win. We knew we were going to win.
Smith. Dixon. Straight to Smith. I score! Arsenal are on the way! It's Alan Smith!
It was a left foot volley from just on the edge, and I was just unsighted for a moment, and once the keeper had made his dive and he'd landed, and I saw that the ball was over in the other corner, so it had hit the inside of the post and gone in, and it was a great moment. It really was.
It was just constant pressure for 90 minutes, but we shut them out, and that was not many teams did that against Parma.
One of the most wonderful nights in the rich history of one of England's most famous football names. Tony Adams lifts his 5th trophy as maybe the best Highbury captain of them all. Only the second Arsenal skipper ever to lift a European Club Cup.
Tony Adams always looks at that performance that night and says, you know, that was the peak of that back four. They were absolutely superb. Steve Bold in particular was majestic. That was when the 1-0 to the Arsenal was born, because if we scored, we wouldn't let a goal in. The defence then was at its peak.
Why they're so effective? Because George Graham worked on, when he first came to Arsenal, he used to work on the back four. His famous saying was, the back four players can play till they're 40, but the midfield players will play till they're 30, because we'll be burnt out doing all their running. And not a true word said there.
I think they all stayed there for over 10 years, each of them, you know, including David Seaman. I mean, it's a wonderful achievement, and they should be proud of it.
Each one of them were winners, outstanding individuals, and desperate to win, and seemed to go on forever at one stage. And I'm sure, you know, they'll be remembered at this club forevermore.
Their biggest asset was their ambition and their desire. They wanted to be good players, you know. So it was very easy to sort of make them, you know, 5 individuals, make them into a unit. And I don't think you'll probably see a unit as good as that again in English football.
In February 1995, George Graham's reign as manager came to an end after financial irregularities came to light, leaving Stuart Houston in caretaker charge.
Well, get on with it there, let's get on with it, Andy.
We've had some good times over the last few years, and he's been a magnificent manager for us. I think the important thing now is to get on with football. We're still in a very big cup for Arsenal. If the supporters can kind of put the managerial kind of thing to the back of their mind and get behind the team, that's what the players kind of want, get behind the team and try and put another trophy on the side.
That trophy was the Cup Winners' Cup, as Arsenal travelled to Paris to try and become the first team ever to win it 2 years in succession. Their opponents were from Spain, Real Zaragoza.
Go, Rest!
Not short with Pardesa. Naeem again. Aguado. Oh, what a save by Seaman! Well, is there no end to this man's heroics in this Cup Winners' Cup run? He had a little bit of luck, but my goodness, he earned it. Terrific save from Aguado's header. Glory from long range, and Seaman struggling. That's it! Naeem, the former Tottenham player, has won the Cup Winners' Cup for Real Zaragoza with a most extraordinary goal.
I was so upset, you know, I've been crying and things, but it just hurts me so much to lose. You know, it's the first time that it's happened with Arsenal that we've lost in the final. You know, there's not a great deal I can say, you know, without start crying or whatever, you know, it just hurts.
Have you got a cat you can keep when you get home?
No, I've got a dog. No, but she'll be all right.
It's a transition period, and it's a period of change. You have to work with the players, get to know the players, understand the players, find out their strengths and weaknesses, but impose your own style of play within the club. That's why I was appointed.
The summer of 1995 saw former Bolton manager Bruce Rioch take over at Highbury. His first moves in the transfer market were encouraging ones. Former England skipper David Platt arrived from Sampdoria in Italy, and Dutch master Dennis Bergkamp came from Inter Milan. Both were to have a decisive impact.
Bruce made 2 important signings, particularly with Dennis Bergkamp, which was one of the first overseas players to come in, and his contribution to the club, I mean, with his skill, his technique, really gave the club a bit of extra class.
I came from Italy where it was quite slow, of course, quite tactical, and here it's more an attacking game, so everything went quite fast, and it took me a little while to adapt, but in the end that's what I wanted, because I like attacking football, and therefore I seem to cope with it.
Bergkamp. Oh, he's made room here. Great strike! Bergkamp onto right. Now he's lifted it beyond Lukic. Breathtaking. The perfect finale to just about a perfect afternoon for Arsenal. Good goal, David Platt.
Hartson, Merson wants it back, he gets it back. Bergkamp is free, and Arsenal have scored A magnificent goal here at White Hart Lane. Jensen. Right. It was a good turn. 4 players around him, and he's still scored. That captain's armband may be providing extra inspiration.
He cared a lot about the players, but he tried to be a manager who could go and put his arm around people and things like that. The one thing he did want to do, I mean, he always wanted to play football, regardless. You know, he wanted to come. It wasn't going to be like long ball stuff and get up and chase it, and none of that type of thing. He wanted people to actually get the ball down and play.
Rioch had helped restore pride at Highbury, and he also guided the team to a UEFA Cup position after some last-day drama coming against his former club, Bolton Wanderers.
After all this, are Arsenal going to miss out on the final day? The chance of going back into Europe. Platt! The goal is given, but will it be enough? Platt, Bolton looking weary now. Backhand! Well, if that takes Arsenal into the UEFA Cup, it was the perfect goal.
They've been playing all season for this, to get into Europe, and finally we got it, and that's such a relief, and it's such a great feeling at that moment that you're finally there. It's brilliant.
That's what Dennis was going to do anyway. Don't know what's all the bother.
Well, what can I say?
We said to Dennis, give us a sign.
We said to Dennis when he signed, don't care what you do, just get us the win on the last game of the season, get us in Europe, and he did it. And he missed it as well.
He's the Messiah. And we just said, give us a sign, and he said, that's the sign.
Some great goals and moments to treasure, but the club knew there was someone eminently suitable for the top job at Highbury. The French Revolution was about to begin.
When George Graham had left, that we had the hiatus period where Stuart Houston took over, and I remember Arsene Wenger had come over and was actually staying at my house, and he'd come to see a game, and I felt that he would have been the right man for Arsenal, and I discussed it with the board, and of course it was decided that perhaps it was a bit too much of a gamble at the time. When we decided that we wanted a change after Bruce Rioch, I was perhaps a little bit more forceful than I'd been before with the board and said, look, this man is special. He deserves an opportunity and chance.
Big history, big tradition, big club, and big support. And all that together, of course, makes usually a job attractive, especially when you're a manager. And I felt as well that I could maybe bring a different touch to a traditional English club, and that the marriage could work.
But there were plenty of doubters who predicted a swift divorce, suggesting that the Arsenal board were embarking on a dangerous liaison.
Well, it was very difficult because he was unknown. I had the good fortune of knowing him and seeing him at close quarters. And he was highly respected, and he was there for the best part of 8 years in Monaco, because every time I used to go to Monaco, I'd see him, he'd invite me to the games, I'd see how he handled the players, how he handled the press.
I always remember Mr. Dean, we had a meeting, all the players, and he said, well, we've got a new manager now, it's Arsene Wenger, and everybody looked at each other thinking, we've never heard of that name.
Immediately thought, it's my geography teacher. He just looked like my geography teacher at secondary school, and I thought, OK. Fine.
And everybody said, Arsene who? But, I think you've only got to meet him to realise that he's a fairly exceptional character as well.
He come into the club and it was like a breath of fresh air, really. You know, everything changed, the attitude changed in training, a little bit of diet before games and things like that, and it turned the club around really. And
there was a lot of scepticism. Don't forget it. I was top of a betting list to be out before December. So in some way, it motivated me even harder and more to show that the level to work here.
Straight away, we stretched differently on the first day. We trained differently on the first day. We stretched after training. We stretched before we got in our cars to go home. If he would have come home and stretched us at home if he could have done, but it was just totally different. And a lot of the older players were really open-minded because I think we realised that he could do us a lot of good and extend our careers, which is what he did.
Trying to search out Hartson, who won it. Here's Ian Wright. Oh, good touch by Wright. Superb! A magnificent goal by the irrepressible Ian Wright.
Arsene Wenger now down to watch the second half from the dugout. Speaks 5 languages, has a degree in economics and a diploma in business studies. Just your average Premiership manager.
I thought it was a team of quality with a very short period of life, because I had 8 players around 30 or over 30. I had David Platt, Paul Merson was 29 already, and Ian Wright up front, who was a major figure as well in the club, who was already 32. So it was not easy.
AC Milan's 20-year-old Patrick Vieira was a virtual unknown in this country, but Wenger recognised his potential.
He likes to win and he's ready to fight to win. And that's why maybe he has been so well accepted by the fans also, because he has shown from the first game on that he wants to win the games, and that it just doesn't come to show that he has some skill.
Vieira, that's a good run from him. And it's a useful pass too, because it's put Ian Wright in for the opening goal. Bergkamp. This is Adams. An absolute cracker from the captain. And Vieira stretching away here. And it's Lee Dixon. The goalkeeper's positioning was a little strange, and Dixon had plenty to aim at. Looking round for support. He's got it from Merson. Paul Merson with an absolute beauty for Arsenal. Already signs of Arsenal looking more positive in these early minutes of the second half. Bergkamp dragging the ball back. Still Bergkamp. Well, it's an exquisite goal from a player who is really in peak form at the moment. Winterburn with the corner. In goes Martin Keown. It drops for Vieira!
Arsenal finished a very healthy 3rd in Wenger's first season, but the manager wanted more. Teenager Nicolas Anelka came from PSG as a raw recruit, while the more experienced Manu Petit and Marc Overmars further strengthened an impressive squad. Everyone was hopeful of success as the 1997-98 season began.
No, there's a lot of great determination. The lads are willing to battle, and that's exactly what happened in '91.
If I could get a Premiership medal, I just don't know, I think I might cry for something like a week or something and carry it around with me, just in case people don't realise I've got one.
It was a season.
And all the tension, all the fretting over the past few months, as we've all counted, no one more than Ian Wright himself. He is now Arsenal's all-time greatest goal scorer.
Everywhere I was going on the street, people were saying, are you going to do it this week? Are you going to? And I really would have liked to have done it here at Highbury. We've had some fantastic times. The fans have been great to me from day one. I know everybody's heard it all before, but I have to say, they've been fantastic. And I think they even sucked the goals in for me today, It's brilliant.
Wrighty was an outstanding individual. I thoroughly enjoyed playing with Ian. It was a pleasure, really. He's such personality. It was a laugh a minute. He was a volatile individual, but once he got in the penalty box, he was so relaxed in front of goal. Probably the best out-and-out finisher I've worked with.
I think it's pure talent, and I know he works hard. He worked hard for it to achieve those goals. He there at the right time, and I just feel a certain talent, a certain intuition.
Dennis Bergkamp provided a few spectacular moments himself in what turned out to be one of the greatest seasons in Arsenal's history. His moments of inspiration lit up English stadiums, never more so than when scoring the goal of the season at Leicester City's Filbert Street.
But here's Bergkamp still on the hat-trick. Great touch by
Bergkamp. Arsenal sending out very heartwarming signals here to their supporters. They've got another one. Marc Overmars. Vieira. Winterburn. Oh, what a goal! Nigel Winterburn may well have won it here at Stamford Bridge for Arsenal. Spins away for Nicolas Anelka. Oh, what a goal! What a goal! From the 18-year-old, his first for the club, the deputy for Dennis Bergkamp. towards him, as you would have expected, as Manchester United would have expected. That's Vieira! Absolutely fantastic! It flew in! Oh, great header, David Platt!
This thrilling victory over Manchester United came in November, but the critical game of the campaign was a high-noon showdown at Old Trafford in March. The Gunners had clawed back a mighty Manchester United lead in the league, and victory here would put Arsenal in pole position.
Overmars, and that means a problem for Manchester United. Mark Overmars still going! Well, he's been the threat, hasn't he? Able to come to the edge of the goal area and get to it and kick, and Andy Cole goes on, straight from the goalkeeper's clearance. It's Cole, and Manninger stops Manchester United again. Two attempts at goal, and here comes Overmars. Now Arsenal have scored in the Premiership at Old Trafford, and Mark Overmars, the main threat, has finally delivered.
I think it's very decisive. I mean, if you look, we hadn't won there for a number of years before that game, and so that was a big game for us, and the belief started to come into the team.
You get the belief, then you know. The fans knew. I mean, we all saw their reaction, of course. The fans knew that that was it. We could do it.
You know, now we have won it, basically. Because when we came out in the dressing room on that day, I felt personally that nobody can take it away from us now. The players were convinced they will win it, and I felt it will be very difficult to take it away from us.
Winterburn. There's only one player who can chase this, and how he can chase it. It's Anelka. Could it be 4 for Arsenal? It can! And Seaman comes out and keeps the ball in play, does it? No flag. And no flagging from the Gunners. Here's Nicholas Anelka. Overmars, now Petit, this the moment it is! He's finally got a goal for Arsenal. And Seaman claims that he started it all. Hutchison, stopped by Platt. And here's Stick. What an extraordinary way to win the title against the toughest of competition. Congratulations to Arsenal and Tony Adams. 10 straight wins. They've absolutely roared to the title. And if you go back over their last 18 games, they've collected 48 points out of 54. At Christmas, no one would have thought. Well, tremendous joy at Highbury. And this is a very special team managed by a very special man. You're looking at the pick of the Premiership, the pride of the Premiership, Arsenal Football Club.
We've got a good squad, and the squad has gone on to outwin the championship, and that's what it's all about. Team effort, great team effort.
Everybody said Arsenal didn't have a chance to come back, and we worked so very hard. I think it's a very great performance for all the players, for everybody who support Arsenal.
What's this? Hey! Where'd that come from?
When we looked at the table, 13 points behind Man United, I think we had to do something, you know, unbelievable. And as you say, 10 straight wins is a good start, and obviously the 10th one's won us the title.
You've done it in style as well, which is nice. You know, it's all the critics we've always had all over the years, and I think we've done it the right way.
Arsenal now had the chance of the double as they took on Newcastle in the FA Cup final. In 1932 and 1952, the Geordies enjoyed good fortune against the Gunners at Wembley, but in 1998 it was to be a case of third time lucky for Arsenal.
Petit. Adams almost in too much of a hurry then, but Newcastle allowed him the extra time on the ball. Petit's pass, and it's over Mars. He's past Pistoni! And Arsenal have taken the lead! It's Lee Dixon who got to it for Arsenal. Vieira's header, Parler. There's no flag, and it's Anelka! No catching him, maybe no catching Arsenal now. Stoppage time. It's a dream double for Arsenal.
The 98 double side was a great team. I think, you know, everybody knew their jobs. The main reason that we had that stability in the team was that, you know, we more or less played every game the same team, and we was very lucky. We didn't get many suspensions, injuries. I think we knew everybody knew their job, and it was exciting times for us. And you know, that was probably one of my best moments in my career, winning that double, especially at Wembley, winning the FA Cup.
The presentation from the Duchess of Kent. Simply awesome. Tony Adams and his team, they have done the double. They are Arsenal!
And a double, and you know, just doing it in such style. I mean, above all else, we've played football, which Arsenal fans had not seen before, the quality, the speed.
It was a big thing for me because I could show that the foreign manager can win the championship, and the fact that it was me, of course, I was very proud to achieve that. And to do the double, if you look at the history in England, has not been done too many times. So I was, of course, very pleased and very happy.
After the double success of 1998, English football became a head-to-head contest between Arsenal and Manchester United. Always fierce rivals, the games were intense occasions with the managers as much as the players competing for supremacy. And in these matches, the Gunners' boss enjoyed some great moments.
Adams comes forward, Keown comes forward. Turn towards Adams! Arsenal have a lead that they thoroughly deserve. They've begun brightly here, and now they've scored. Giggs. Game very open at the moment.
But we don't want half-time now, Mark. The game's flowing.
No offside. Nicholas Anelka. Schmeichel there again. Anelka there again. 2-0 to Arsenal. And Nicholas Anelka, a very, very happy young man. Overmars. And he knows where Parler is. He had a look to see where Bergkamp was trying to get. Overmars again. Hughes. Oh, it's a bit lucky. He didn't aim for Ljungberg, but he's found him. And what a way to start your Arsenal career.
Arsenal just missed out on another title, the only team in the country coming close to threatening United. Arsenal fans could take comfort from the knowledge that their side was playing the Premiership's most attractive football. And in the summer of 1999, their dazzling squad was strengthened by the signing of Thierry Henry from Juventus.
He's a great striker, maybe one of the top 3 in the world. He was a winger when he came here, and I moved him into the central attack, and at the start, of course, he wasn't convinced he could score goals, but he scored a few things.
Adams coming further forward. Henry! Well, that is a fine first goal for Arsenal, for the young Frenchman.
Thierry is probably the most complete player I've ever played with. He's got skills, he's got pace, he's got strength, he's got everything you need now in the game, and that's what makes him a great player now. He makes it look so easy as well, and he's still got a future in front of him.
Melchiot. It's a finely judged challenge by Tony Adams. On from Bergkamp for Henry. Desailly is brushed aside by Henry, and you don't see that happen very often.
Thierry Henry, though, was not the only scorer in a season of impressive strikes, particularly in the UEFA Cup, where Arsenal went all the way to the final.
Winterburn. Oh! It's Nigel Winterburn's first goal in Europe, and it's fabulous. Oh, Kanu. Oh, wonderful finish. Smiles all around Highbury. Kanu. Here's Parler. It's bending, it's in! Petit. And Overmars. He's given the green light here. He's got Kanu with him. And Arsenal are surely in the final now. Unselfish work from Mark Overmars. And now those Arsenal fans can start making their plans for Copenhagen. Here's Parler. It's a bit of a miss-kick by Bergkamp. Overmars had a look to see what was on in the centre, went for goal himself. And Taffarel, my goodness, needed to stop that. Henry. Now the turn of foot from the Frenchman. Okeon! What a chance! Parler worked it wide well this time. It's Henry! Taffarel has kept it out somehow. Brilliant ball from Parler. Not tonight for Thierry Henry. Popescu can win it here for Galatasaray. He's done it!
Defeat on penalties again in a European final, and little consolation in a second consecutive runners-up spot in the Premiership. United still held the upper hand over a season, but nonetheless there were moments against them to cherish.
Henry! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.
Have a look at one of the greatest goals I've seen on this ground. That's deliberate, that's majestic. Sheer brilliance, sheer brilliance. That's all you can say about that piece of football from a talented footballer. Absolutely unsavable, absolutely magnificent.
Pesky losing out, Vieira won it. Ljungberg into Thierry Henry, he's got round Westerveld, it's Henry! What a chance now, he's claiming handball against Honcho at the near post. Oh, that wasn't some of Westerveld's best clearance. Pires. Ljungberg making the break, perfectly timed, round the goalkeeper, free Ljungberg! The first goal of the Cardiff Cup final is scored by Arsenal's Frederick Ljungberg. McAllister takes. Still not clear. Barber trying to reach it. Owen! Owen stretching his legs and getting away from Dixon and getting his shot away. That's there. That is just absolutely fantastic. He has won the cup for Liverpool all by himself.
More cup final heartache for Arsenal, and yet again so close to the honours their play deserved. But despite the players' disappointments, they were determined to come back even stronger.
It's all credit to everybody at the club who kept believing and kept going, because it's very difficult to keep people together when you don't win trophies. And we lost Anelka, we lost Overmars, we lost Petit, all from the '98 team. And it was very important that we won something this year, otherwise potentially we were going to lose people again.
But the big story of summer 2001 was the signing of Sol Campbell from Spurs. The England centre-half adding strength and stability to a side ready to turn potential into achievement.
I wanted to instill that belief again into the team that, of course, we could fight, to change some things and come back with a stronger challenge this time, and I think it was the right things to do.
Throughout the season, Arsenal's football was simply breathtaking. The team was a delight to watch, full of flair and flamboyance, with a steely edge which made them no pushovers for anyone.
And here come Arsenal. And Pires! Well, that's a shock to Sullivan and to Spurs. There's a mistake here by Gary Neville. Pires. Ljungberg. Freddie Ljungberg against Manchester United again. And Arsenal on the move here. Lauren! Good work here by Bergkamp. And in comes Ori! Bayer Leverkusen ripped apart again. Pires, Wilton makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp. That's magnificent. The move, and then this, which left Davies Ass totally stranded. Ljungberg. Martin trying to get back against Pires, who's left him and left Schmeichel. That is an outstanding goal from a magnificent player, enjoying the season of his life, Robert Pires. Perfect.
Pires' sensational form was one of the season's many highlights, but a knee injury robbed him of his part in the run-in, including the FA Cup triumph over Chelsea at the Millennium Stadium.
Hasselbank still battling on manfully despite his injury. Good Johnson. Oh, it was dipping in until David Seaman did his stuff. Adams. It's good work by Wilton. And Ray Parlour takes it on. Parlour! It's a vintage FA Cup goal for Arsenal.
It was one of them games where, you know, it was a lot of tackles and a lot of not flowing football really. And I seemed to get the ball. I always remember I got the ball halfway line, kept running. To be quite honest with you, I looked round and no one was about to pass it to because everyone was feeling a little bit jaded. And I think I looked round and I thought, you know, why not? And I had a go, and it seemed to go in. And, it was a great moment in my career, scoring in an FA Cup final, and I was very proud.
Edu. Arsenal know what can happen if you don't get a second goal. Remember last year, Ljungberg, he's got the better of Terry. Freddie Ljungberg! Arsenal have produced two absolute stunners.
As soon as Freddie started running, I thought, he's got to hit this. I could see Cudicini start diving, and I thought he's going to get nowhere near this. As he dived, he realised it was in because he went, oh, in mid-air. So I thought, right, I'm off. I thought he'd run the way Ray ran, but he didn't. He ran the other way, so I ran off on my own, sort of celebrating. But it was good fun. I think I've had more comments about that than when I played in '98.
This year, Arsenal get their hands on the FA Cup.
Another pivotal day in the story of Arsenal. The title and the club's third double rested on a potentially epic showdown at Old Trafford. As usual, the game was not just about the players. The two managers were by now renowned for their psychological battles, which both seemed to relish.
I think it's part of the ingredient of good preparation for the game to get everybody excited, so I enjoy it, and I think everybody loves it here. It's always a little game, a little gamble going on, and everybody's used to it now, and I think if it wasn't happening, people would miss it.
It was a great game at Old Trafford. You know, we just felt it was going to be our year, and we weren't going to settle for second best.
That's for Kanu to play from the start. Ray Parlour back on the right, and Wilton! What a chance, and what a block! Parlour, mistake by Silvestre. Wilton has got plenty of pace. Ljungberg. It's Freddie Ljungberg again, pushed out by Barthez. Wilton! Arsenal have scored yet again in the Premiership, and this could be the most crucial goal of all.
Well, beating United any time, anywhere is always rather rather gratifying. But that was a tremendous performance, because we always have a pretty strong battle against United, and winning there was about as good as it gets.
I can't believe it, they're nearly there. Supporters and players alike. Paul Durkin looks at his watch. History in the making for the club from Highbury. They are the champions. They have taken the title away from Manchester United, and they have done it here at Old Trafford. It does not get more conclusive than that. Sylvain Wiltor's goal. Arsene Wenger's team, every bit as good as the manager's words. He had no doubts.
But it has been special as well, because then we won it on the day at Old Trafford. And of course it was fantastic. And on that year, I think things we have never been highlighted enough. We played the whole season without losing in away games. In the modern football, that is something amazing, and there's never been highlighted enough. You need to be a special team to achieve that.
Tony Adams sets forward. Arsenal, in the end, very conclusive champions. The Premiership and the FA Cup will be proudly on show side by side at Highbury. They are back at the summit of English football again, and they are Arsenal. The scourge of second place has ended 3 years in a row in the Premiership, and of course in the FA Cup a year ago, runners-up in that UEFA Cup 2 years ago. But this Arsenal side have graduated with a double first. They have played splendid football to become the most successful side in the land in the season 2001-2002. And with the shirt on, Robert Pires. It was cruelly cut short, but a breathtaking season. The footballer of the year. And they pay homage, his teammates. Oh, that's wonderful. I've never seen anything like that before.
No. I mean, I thought he had a great season. That just typifies what these players, his teammates, nothing will feel better for Robert Pires.
And here's the orchestrator of this awesome season. Of Arsenal, it's firework time, and they have provided so many fireworks throughout the season. Arsenal Football Club.
Amidst the joy and celebrations, Arsenal legend Tony Adams decided to bow out at the top. Had there ever been a more influential captain?
He was hugely inspirational, because he's a boy who was a pure Arsenal player, had a strong personality and a strong influence within the club.
Tony used to spur us on, because he used to get the rave reviews every week about how good he played, and we used to just take the mickey out of him, saying, well, he's not really that good to play with. But it can't be a coincidence that he's been at the top of his trade for how long he was. Captain in his country and captain of such a great club, because he is a top-class defender.
Tony Adams, where do you start with Tony? He's an outstanding leader, outstanding player, knew his role in the team very well. But, first and foremost, he's a winner, and he was a big Arsenal man, and he set certain standards at the club, and he wanted everybody else to maintain those standards.
Patrick Vieira picked up the captain's armband, and Arsenal continued to pick up trophies, playing a swashbuckling style of football.
Henry, chance of a breakout. Wiltor to his right, Bergkamp to his left. They'll do well to catch up with Thierry Henry, though. He's drifted away from Carr. Henry! What a fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Although the Premiership eluded Arsenal, the players didn't finish the season empty-handed, as the FA Cup provided more great moments to savour.
Edu, two up with him, Wiltord, good chance for Arsenal, there's Sylvain Wiltord, and Arsenal go 2-0 up, and Wiltord, whose goal here ensured Arsenal won the Cup and League double last season, is on the mark at Old Trafford again. Page again, and a chance to hook it in, and it's not gone in. How did it stay out? Asama can't believe it. He can't believe it.
Parlour. much on the periphery of the game so far, which is unlike him. Henry for Bergkamp, and they put it together right here. It's Freddie Ljungberg, it's Robert Pires, it's 1-0 Arsenal.
This could go anywhere off Lindic Varman, off Ljungberg. Unfortunately for Southampton, unfortunately for Arsenal, it drops straight to Robert Pires. Pretty good finish.
A 9th FA Cup triumph was compensation for just missing out on the title. It was Arsenal's 4th runners-up spot in the league in 5 years. However, there was nothing second best about the next campaign.
Now, Arsenal have become the first club in 115 years to go through the season unbeaten in the top division. The Premiership champions beat Leicester 2-1 at Highbury this afternoon to match the feat last achieved by Preston North End back in 1889.
People will remember that the season 2003-2004, we were unbeatable.
Arsenal have sprinted away, and they are sprinting away with this game.
It's been a dream. It's quite unbelievable. We've got a great team spirit here, and we all seem to attack well and all together, and I think that's our main strength.
Thierry Henry keeps up his average of a goal a game in the new season.
This for 3 points, this to beat fierce rivals. The responsibility rests with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Oh, he's missed it! He has hit the bar!
To finish all square was a big result. You know, I think we showed the ingredients there that we were going to do something special.
Here's Pires, and it's Gilberto! Arsenal lead! Pires. Oh, what a shot! It's a fabulous goal from Robert Pires!
Pires towards Henry. Kudicini's lost it, and Arsenal have found a goal.
We have had a lot of games where you would say, well, no one would beat us like this. Sometimes when you don't play the best of games, we still manage to get a draw and we still manage to win games.
Pires. Here comes the Arsenal break. Bergkamp has managed to elude Thatcher and cross for Gilberto. A goal that had Arsenal written all over it. Edu. In for Henry. Thierry Henry. Just a delight.
Everybody say Arsenal is the best team in the world. If you see our quality on the pitch, up front, in the middle, on the back, they look very strong.
It's 4, and if it stays like this, Arsenal are going top of the Premiership tonight.
Ball through to Pires by Edu, used to Henry. He's got plenty to aim at, like that. An astounding goal from Thierry Henry.
And Bergkamp has scored, and it was sublimely taken by the Dutchman.
It was a big pleasure for me to be the captain of the group. And this year I think we get our concentration from the start until the end. And we did it, so that's a big season for us.
A captain's contribution.
Once more, Thierry Henry reaches out for perfection. Edu. Bergkamp. Touch back from Pires. Robert Pires. Fantastic. Do they do ordinary?
Everyone will always remember this Arsenal side because of the way we were playing as well. It's something we will stay down in history.
Okay, we've had a little bit of luck on the way, but sometimes you have to play for your luck, and the main thing is the spirit throughout the whole team, and that kind of took us through.
Electrifying, electrifying. It's 4 for the foremost striker, Arsenal's Thierry Henry.
This is what's made Arsenal champions in this country.
I believe forever these boys will be remembered. It is quality, it's not luck. When you go away, it's windy, rainy, bad pitch, and still you say, we will not lose today. And you manage that 38 times. I must say it's just a sign of a high level of quality and a big sign of attitude.
Make a note of the date. May the 15th, 2004. History has been made.
one of the greatest achievements since English football began. Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened for over 100 years. Played 38, won 26, drawn 12, lost exactly none. Arsenal's name has a place in the sporting record books for all time, and what they've done this season will be talked about for as long as football is played.
The next landmark in their sights was Nottingham Forest's 42-game unbeaten record, a tally that was swiftly equalled and then broken.
Reyes looking for the direct ball, and what a ball it is for Henry! 103 goals in the last 3 seasons for Thierry Henry, and here's his first of the new campaign. Well, here's a breakaway and an equaliser thumped in by Joseph Desiré Job for Middlesbrough. Oh, it's misjudged by Seagull, and it's Hasselbank. It's his sort of angle to hit one. He does hit it. And Middlesbrough, either side of half-time, have really turned this around at Highbury, and Arsenal's undefeated record is now really on the line. Pedro, the goalkeeper's got out!
Oh my goodness.
This gets stranger and stranger, but better and better for Middlesbrough. Fabregas, Bergkamp. Middlesbrough back off, and Arsenal have responded in true style. Arsenal 2, Middlesbrough 3. Fabregas making a great ground. Henry. Oh, and it's Perez, who specialises in Premiership goals at Highbury against Middlesbrough. It didn't take long. It's 3-3. Here they come again. It's Reyes! Stand up for the champions. And Arsenal are away. Perez goes down the outside of the Dutchman. Henry in the middle. Job done in the end. And by the way, 42 games now without defeat, on a par with Nottingham Forest. Arsenal in the record books again.
Are they celebration spoilers, or are they the 43rd fall guys in a row? Blackburn Rovers, the last club who can deprive Arsenal of that outright record. A slice of history awaits at Highbury. Here's Fabregas. Bergkamp. Henry's coming in! Goal! Isn't that just Henry? Isn't that just Arsenal? Isn't that just typical?
While they were in the mood for breaking records, Cesc Fabregas became Arsenal's youngest goalscorer in the league, diverting in Gilberto's header. And a comfortable 3-0 win was wrapped up on the night by Jose Antonio Reyes. The unbeaten sequence eventually stretched to an incredible 49 games, a fabulous legacy from the Arsene Wenger era.
I feel very privileged to work with these players because they are not only strong players but respectable, dedicated people, come from all over the world, and to have created such a unique history is something amazing.
Mr. Wenger is, I think, a great manager, you know, and I don't say that because I just play in Arsenal, but I think he's someone that we all need to have big respect on him, you know, because he can make you a big player. We think he's a great manager.
He has delivered everything he's promised. He's restructured the whole of the playing side of the business. It's very solid. We've got a lot of good youngsters coming through. He has been able to find world-class players. In the main, they were relatively unknown. Now they're world-class stars. And that's down to Arsenal.
Who's won 2 doubles? Who came close to winning 3 doubles? And we've always been challenging for cups or championships. It's fantastic what the man's done. Absolutely fantastic.
There's a calmness. There's no ranting and raving from the sideline. That's not the style. it creates a certain environment that you're comfortable to talk when you want to talk, you're comfortable to pass the ball when you want to pass the ball. And people take that into their game every week.
He is very conscious of the way the club has operated for more years than we've all been born. And I think he's also secretly very proud of being involved with us. And we're certainly proud to have him.
I'm very proud of it because I think it's a responsibility of a manager as well to work for imminent results and quality of a championship and the cups, but as well another, maybe a darker or less in the spotlight job is to push a club to a higher level where it was when you arrive. And I think that's what we have.
Here's Bergkamp. And they just back away, Everton inviting the ball to Van Persie, who completes a superb move in brilliant style. Oh, what a ball for Reyes. Van Persie pulls short. It's gone to Pires. Brilliant save by Wright. But Pires nods home the rebound. They may be runners-up, but they're turning on championship style already, Arsenal. Here's another Arsenal goal on the way. Patrick Vieira with a little dink over the goalkeeper makes it 3-0. There's Bergkamp, Henry. It's come through to Pires. It's 4. It's a chilly evening here in North London, but Arsenal are warming us all up with the quality of their football. I don't suppose watching Evertonians would agree. Was that a handball? It was. What did they do? Yeah, what a nice touch. Appearance. What a nice touch. His last game at Highbury, he could mark with a goal. He hasn't scored here, by the way, for over 18 months. The Brazilian says bye-bye to Highbury with a goal. And Arsenal move on to 5. Bergkamp looks to make it 6. That's the goal the Highbury crowd really wanted. A little party piece from the master. There you go. It was a great ball in, and it's turned home by Flamini for his first ever goal for Arsenal, the magnificent 7.
That one night at Highbury summed up the devastating firepower of the 21st century Gunners. But Arsenal again finished in the runners-up spot in the league, this time to a high-spending Chelsea. However, there was a silver lining with the FA Cup, a penalty shootout victory over Manchester United, providing yet another trophy for Arsene Wenger.
Patrick Vieira to win the FA Cup for Arsenal. And he has! Arsenal have won the FA Cup again!
For Patrick Vieira, the last act of an inspirational spell with the club as he left to join Juventus. And even bigger changes were on the horizon as Arsenal prepared to say farewell to their much-loved Highbury home.
Soccer, and brushing up for a momentous campaign, the boys of the Arsenal club reveal a new look for the last season at their Highbury ground. Oh, I say, Mr. Rice, suits you. And here it is, back to the spirit of 1913, with a fruity number. Red currant's the colour for the shirts, in which they'll have the opposition licked. What a salute to their famous old home. Don't you think so, Monsieur Henry?
The new skipper Thierry Henry was on the verge of making his own piece of history as Arsenal's all-time leading goalscorer. And fittingly, the record was broken in a European tie during a campaign of so many unforgettable nights in the Champions League.
Push and touch for Flamini. Now here's Pires. Lovely ball for Thierry Henry. This could be it. This could be the moment. It is. record breaker, history maker, Thierry Henry as Arsenal's record goal scorer. Here's Henry getting clear. It's Thierry Henry! He's scored! He's scored for Arsenal in the Bernabeu! That was a good tackle by Pires on Vieira. Picked his pocket. Henry, plenty of movement ahead of him. Cesc Fabregas! Yes! Breakthrough! And it's the young pretender, Cesc Fabregas, who gives Arsenal the lead. That's a lovely ball. There's a chance here for Fabregas, and now for Thierry Henry. Arsenal 2, Juventus 0.
Goes a long way. I think it was Salah that got his head to it. Back to Henry again. He loves to attack from this kind of area. That's quite clever. Leb across the face of goal and in.
Well, Tory's away. He's got his own way.
It's the last touch, and Arsenal get a vital lead.
Arsenal hanging in and hanging on. Sorin with a cross. They've all missed it. It might come for Jose Marie. Clichy did his bit. He's given a penalty. Inside the last 2 minutes, the softest of penalty awards given against Carl Clichy. Jens Lehmann has not been beaten in the Champions League for 14 months. Who's the hero? Is he German or Argentine? Riquelme. Lehmann saved it! And Arsenal are within sight of the final, thanks to an extraordinary start by Jens Lehmann.
Arsenal had reached their first ever Champions League final in the most dramatic fashion. But before the big night against Barcelona, the club had to say a fond final farewell to their dear old Highbury home after 93 years.
It's going to be one of the most historic things that's happened to us. Coming here from Woolwich probably was the last really big moment, but leaving here after so many years is going to be a sad, sad day for many, many people.
10 matches ago, 20 matches ago, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's coming, but it's never really going to happen. And here it is, and it's sad, but you've got to look at it like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
Well, it's strange, actually, strange feeling. Obviously, we're excited about moving to the new ground, but it's going to be so emotional leaving Highbury behind. Everyone's got so many memories here, you know.
Today's a bit like going to a funeral, even though it's like a happy event. It's also quite sad. I feel really gutted because my dad used to bring me and he can't be with me today. So, yeah, it's a bit emotional, really.
When you come here, you think about people that you knew and that you still know, and that you've had zillions of experiences and huge spectrum of emotions shared with people. You don't know what they do, you don't know anything about their lives, and they don't know anything about you, but it doesn't matter, because for those moments when a great goal goes in or a player does something special, you're best friends, you're brothers, you're kin.
Amidst all the emotion, Arsenal needed a win against Wigan to confirm a Champions League spot at the expense of Tottenham. How appropriate that Highbury bowed out with an afternoon of rare drama.
Campbell heads it down. Perez! Arsenal score inside 8 minutes. Thompson takes, and it's a goal here by Shana. He's gone for goal, he's done it! And it's Arsenal 1, Wigan 2. It's Henry. He's in. It's 2-2. And as it stands, it will be Spurs finishing fourth. So, and it's what Wigan do here. Henry skip round. Collins, Thierry Henry puts Arsenal 3-2 in front. It's a gift, but one gratefully taken. goal. Henry, Jumper, penalty! Whatever Thierry Henry achieves, his name will be forever associated with Highbury. On the last day here, he has a hat-trick. It's getting better and better for Arsenal because West Ham have gone 2-1 up against Tottenham at Upton Park.
It's all smiles at the moment. It's all going Arsenal's way.
That is it. Football is finished at Highbury for all time. After 93 years, Arsenal say farewell in the grand manner.
Right now, Mr. Wenger, we would like you to look at the countdown clock and invite the Arsenal fans to count down from 10 with you.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Highbury went out with a bang. But the biggest prize of all was still up for grabs as Arsenal looked to round off an incredible season in real style in the Champions League final in Paris.
Henry towards Campbell! Sol Campbell for Arsenal! Against all the odds, Sol Campbell chooses the Champions League final to score his first ever goal in Europe. A thumping header to Thierry Henry's free kick.
Disappointment of defeat hit hard, but as ever the club already had its sights fixed firmly on the future. The move to the stunning 60,000 capacity Emirates Stadium beckoned, and with it the financial clout to lift Arsenal to an even higher level. At the same time, Arsene Wenger continued to rebuild the team. He put his faith in some of the most talented young players in the world, a truly cosmopolitan collection, and under his guidance they began to develop into a fearsome footballing force. It all promises so much for a club who always set the standards for others to follow. Another chapter in the proud history of one of the greatest clubs in the world, the one and only Arsenal.